Narrative Podcast.
Changing the Narrative Podcast.
How's Bradley look? Damn right he does. Damn right he does. They're all recording though. You sure? There's a man.
Food's here.
I think the food's here.
Food's here.
Jeez, we figure out how to get the damn show going,
Let it.
and then the food shows up. No, Brielle is supposed to be here. Oh, it is Brielle. Brielle.
Brielle's in the
Fraser.
house.
Big Papa Fraser. Big Papa Fraser in the building.
Can't
Okay,
get no fried-
Kyler, come sit your big ass down.
You're not
man.
fried chicken. Oh, man.
Kyler, sit down.
Supposed to be fried chicken.
Brielle, you're not the fried chicken? Ah, damn.
You have no
The
idea.
black guy didn't bring the fried chicken? What kind of
waiting
party
on-
is this?
We're waiting on the Korean guy to bring the fried chicken?
That's a fact. That's a cold fact. That's a cold fact. I don't know where Kyler went. God damn. But Bradley Daye is here.
Here.
Bradley Daye is here.
In the heezy.
Do people know about Bradley Daye?
They don't know.
What? Why not?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I don't know why the people don't know about you, Bradley Daye. I know about you.
Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Well,
That's what we're here to find out.
if people needed to know something about you, what are the types of things you think they should know about you?
Well, the first thing they usually do know is my last name.
Daye, with an E.
With an E.
Why do they know? What's so special about Daye?
Well, there was a special person that had that name, Day.
Okay.
Delmore Buddy Day.
Okay. Buddy Daye,
kinda-
like the street?
That's the one.
Okay.
The street that connected all the streets that he affected. So Maynard Street, which is where he had his house and where my father was raised and where he raised his children.
Okay.
Creighton Street, where he grew up
Right.
and where I grew up. And Goddard Street, where he did the majority of his work. So it's kind of interesting that they chose that street to name after him because it connects all three of those streets.
When you say work that he was doing, what type of work are you referring to?
I'm referring to founding the Black Educators Association.
What?
Yeah, he did a lot of work in education, and it's ironic because he was actually kicked out of elementary school.
No way.
Yeah, he was physically thrown out of elementary school.
Oh, wow.
And it's a really kind of cool story where you take a negative and turn it into a positive. 2 generations later in that same school, his daughter is my principal, and she's playing the Black National Anthem every morning.
Wow.
So, things come full circle.
And that's your grandfather?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal around here. There's a lot of Black historical stories of things that have happened here in Halifax and across the bridge. It's cool to meet people who are actually like family tied, like directly connected to some of these stories that we hear about or like kind of learn about in school, but never really hear the truth. And you get someone who's connected to it and you get the real story.
Well, my aunt is in the process of writing a book,
Really?
which has been well overdue.
Yeah.
To get his story documented out there on paper.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see just how many stories that I haven't heard that are in the book. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because, there's your personal memories and then there's all the stories that you hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know what perspective it's going to be written from. Is it going to be more like an autobiography? Is it going to be more of my aunt's experience
Right.
with her father?
Yeah.
So
Options.
yeah.
I look forward to it too. Keep us posted.
And on the education thing,
Ooh.
There's the Buddy Day Learning Institute.
Yes.
So it was a big reason why they named it after him.
That
because of
happened
all
a
the work he
few-
did in
It
education.
happened a few months or in the summer, maybe. I saw a ribbon cutting of something. You
Yeah,
recall?
so the Buddy Day Afrocentric Learning Institute was around for a while now, but it was always a rented space. They didn't have a permanent home.
Okay.
So now they have a space that they're there permanently. They've renovated it. It's beautiful. It's it's supposed to be a space where the community can come in and do work there. It's open and welcoming to everybody. So they've done an excellent job with the interior, and they have a home now. So they're here to stay, and it's not something that was just a blip. It's gonna be around forever. So
good for the Daye family.
Mm-hmm. Good for the community. It went from something that had a local initiative to being a province-wide initiative. So it's not just a win for our family, it's a win for the African Nova Scotian community to know that there's more resources going towards our education in a multitude of different angles. But yeah.
What's the Buddy Daye education?
Buddy Daye Learning Institute.
Learning Institute.
It used to have a different name.
So what happened?
Essentially, they support anything to do with African Nova Scotian education and the betterment of African Nova Scotian education. So whether it be scholarships or doing research to figure out ways in which we can change our educational system to be more inclusive and equitable towards African Nova Scotians. That's, I believe, their mandate. Yeah. So,
you guys okay over there? What? Oh, we got some info. Look at see. That's why Kyler's big ass brain is here on the podcast, because he knows when there's information packets sitting on the desk when you walk in, just in case Bradley didn't know enough about the things he knows about. Oh, here we go. Here we go. What you got over here? There's Corrine Sparks, supremely qualified. Oh, Delmore Buddy Daye Learning Institute. Excellence in Afrocentric Education and Research. Our people, our passion. 2017-18 report to the community. And a strategic plan.
So if you didn't know.
You ain't got no reason not to know now. Jeez.
They do publishing as well.
Know what's going on, eh?
Pay attention.
Get close to the mic, Papa. Yeah, stay put your lips on it.
Is that better?
Well, here, move the thing. Can't move it no.
Killing me with this bar here.
Big man. We already told y'all last week this is a
better?
big man. If you didn't know who I was talking about, damn it, Kyler Crawford is back. He's back to chat. Lolo's she's sick in bed, huh?
She's having a rough run going on. It's that time of year, right? Yeah, she's having a rough run.
Yeah, it's coming for you.
Is that
we had a good
time
night
of year,
last
right?
night. We're gonna get into that a little bit later because we had a ball. It was just people being people, doing people like things and having fun and spending time together. So it was a beautiful day. I just want to let y'all know we need to welcome y'all to the Changing the Narrative podcast. Hey, what up? Episode 46? 46 it is.
Wow, is it 46 episodes?
Yes.
Bruh, like 46?
Yes, man.
Wow.
We're out here, bro. We're out here. Changing the Narrative podcast, where we provide transparent and unfiltered discussions around navigating life as aspiring entrepreneurs from the voices of men and women of color living in Atlantic Canada. Duane and Lauren, unfortunately, aren't here. Duane is doing daddy duties. Got a house that he's building, and he's just being a dad, yo. So, sometimes the scheduling just doesn't work how it's supposed to work. But, motherfucker, what do they say? The show must go on. So, the show is going on, and I'm here with beautiful people.
We'll never fill the shoes, but we'll do our best.
Well, listen, you got your own shoes. You just wear your own shoes, and you just dance in those and do what you do. I don't want you to be Duane. And I would never ask Duane to be Bradley Daye.
Wow, come on.
I'm coming on. So this is what's going down. I got two gentlemen here. We're gonna talk a little bit of football. We're gonna talk a little bit of bullshit. You know how it is. You know how we get down. Yeah. So typically we meet once a week. Founders of our own communities, of our own companies. Discussions weekly, centralized around pop culture, race, business development, politics, gender equality among youth leaders and the artistic and entrepreneurship community in the Maritimes. Welcome to the Change the Narrative podcast. Much love, everybody who's out there listening. We're on the Apple podcast. Much love to you. Hey, we on that Spotify though. It's been written in the notes for months, but we were never actually on Spotify. But the last 2 weeks, I can say we're on Spotify, so I feel really, really, really good about that. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're following the YouTube Change the Narrative podcast, and we're also on Facebook. So for those visual people who like to see video and watch people talking, YouTube, Facebook, baby, that's where we at. So make sure if you're not following along, you get to the follow on. We're also on the Instagram, CTN podcast. You know what it is. Much love to Power. She's back there actually operating the Instagram page right now. She's probably doing some live streaming or something. I don't know what Power's doing, but much love to Power. Y'all know Power. You don't know Power? You know Power, Bradley?
You know, we've met, but we haven't spent any kind of time together to get to know each other. Yeah.
Social network events.
Shout out to Meech and the crew. We had
Sean on here last week.
Okay.
Yeah, much love. So you know what it is. So Power's here. She's doing what she does. We got all these cameras going. We got lights. We looking a little professional these days. Moving on up to the east side.
Stretch those lungs out a bit now.
I'm trying, man. I got that smoker's cough though, so I gotta lay off the cannabinoids. Maybe I'll have a little more vocal. Is that it? Is that it for what I had to say to people? Yeah, make sure you following along. If you're not following along, tell a friend, and if you ain't telling friends, tell more friends. What's up, gentlemen? You say, what's up, dude? What's up, bro? What's up, bro? About to get our bro on, bro.
Oh, here we go.
More broness, bro. Yesterday we had a good time together. Oh no, I don't want to talk about that yet.
Save it, man.
I know.
Keep them waiting.
I don't want to save it. So I have a few little like housekeeping things I gotta let y'all know about. First and foremost, we got new equipment. So as you can see, if you're watching on the YouTube, we got 4 cameras now. We have 4 cameras set up, taking care of all the business. Everybody has their own camera now. So when you talk shit, we can zoom in on your face and the big beard that you get groomed down at where do you get your
Ascension Shop.
Yeah.
Barbershop down the basement. Ascension Shop. Ascension Barbershop down the basement. Dow Student Union. Up Trey. If you go to Dow or if you're in the South End, you seriously have no reason. Like
Look at the soft hard sell.
Instagram,
No, much love to
YouTube.
Rodney Small. He's my business
All
coach,
into it.
so I'll plug it. I don't care. We should both plug it. You got a barber too.
Absolutely.
Who's another local black businessman?
Yes.
Who's been cutting hair?
Nate
cut
B.
Mike. Yeah, Nate Beal.
Nathan Beal and Marsman.
He
He's been cutting my hair since the hallways of St. Pat's. When Mr. Smith would catch us and be like, come on, guys, right in the hallway. Come on. Like, you guys got to do this right here.
Haircuts in the hallway?
Yeah, we'd find a hallway back by the gym where nobody was around and set up a chair. And
Amazing.
yeah,
And now
you got to do what you got to do.
He's had a shop for what, like 7-8 years now?
They've been there for a minute. They expanded at one point, and then they
What's the shop called?
realized Define Hair Studio.
Yes, they're on Quimple now, right?
Yeah.
Growth, man.
Right next to Fitness FX, right in that area there.
Look at these black men of Nova Scotia being entrepreneurs and businessmen, taking care of the community, making them look all fresh and shit.
I need to go see him actually on Thursday. I'm gonna go see him.
You got that weekly or the bi-weekly appointment?
It depends. You know, I'm not too, I guess, on it all the time as much as I should be probably. But
But you look good tonight.
when you got something important going on,
Yeah.
then you
Get
got to
fresh.
look fresh for
You
it.
look good tonight, Bradley.
I try to do a little maintenance on my own, but
I was gonna say, how are you saying it's been a while since you got it?
Tyler, talk to the mic one more time.
Clean.
Yeah, keep in your mic. Keep your lips
Don't know
on.
if the Bradley looks
I
like
know, but that's why we got to get.
I'm lazy.
We're still
I got
working
the
on
California lean on here. I'm just like,
our audio tech. What would you call them? Technoponics. Audio technical. I have another
larger gentleman.
microphone stand. We
All
can
hunched
get you.
over.
You
We
don't
don't
like
like
that.
back.
Well, I mean, when the Korean chicken comes, we
I think
could
at this
do a
point.
quick little timeout and hook you up. Big man, big man. We're gonna hook up the big man.
Yeah, that's really what I'm thinking about. I can't
Chicken's coming. Well, yeah, it's coming.
think
It's
about
coming.
it with that chicken.
So yeah, we got 4 cameras. We got a whole lighting system going on in the back. I'm sure Brielle is taking some really cool behind the scenes pictures so people can see what it looks like behind the cameras. Brielle's giving me a thumbs up. So much love to Brielle Fraser. E Fraser.
He's a Fraser, man.
1-0, like the letter 3. E Fraser. That E Fraser in the back, you man. Real
Yeah.
crud. E Fraser in the back here.
Are you Preston Fraser? Or is that yeah?
He's the Preston Fraser.
Like, well,
Up hum. That's an up hum Fraser. You fella don't know about up hum.
like Aaron Lee. Well, my first cousin, Brandon Fraser. Not
Yeah.
because there's 2 Brandon Frasers. It gets really confusing.
Uh-oh.
But like Aaron Lee Fraser. And no,
Scotian things. Yeah,
because there's
man
a
don't
couple
know the
Fraser
roots.
families up there.
Yeah, man don't know the Scotian roots. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. We all know each other. There's no Scotian. We got new mics. We're looking good. Ooh! I was talking about us doing a vlog. We got 3 new microphones today. I didn't open them because I wanted you to dad cam the opening of the microphones for the vlog. So we're gonna we got a vlog coming because Pyre said we need a vlog because we need to show y'all more behind the scenes shit that's going on. So that's why Pyre's on the team, because she got the smart brain, so we can make our shit extra more lit than it already is. So
The smart brain, extra more lit. Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
That's the key.
sound bites, baby. Get the sound bites going. Pyre, what'd you say? Extra more lit. Put it on the resume,
I
yo,
have a
and then
smart
make sure
brain,
yo.
and it's extra more lit.
I want to be the contact. What's the
Trump
person at
would
the
be
bottom?
like, hire her, and then he sees a picture, and he'd be
Reference.
like, no.
Reference. I want to be the reference on your resume. You're the guy who said that she was extra more lit. You motherfucking right. That was me. Put me down at the bottom. So we got our new mics. We're looking good. We're feeling good. I got a boom. Oh, they like Lauren and Duane like these little table stands. I like. I got a piece of specialized equipment. I'm assuming, but that's okay. Shit. Less than a month from now, it's gonna be our 1-year anniversary.
Shit.
Ain't that crazy?
A year.
December 4th was our first episode. Wow. Can you believe that? It hasn't felt
That's
like
actually crazy. A year. Man. It flies.
did it ever.
I didn't know what a social enterprise was back then.
A year ago. No.
Almost.
We didn't know what was happening.
A little bit more than a year, but
Business development. So now we're here, Brad.
imagine.
Don't have to imagine when it's real life. I'm working on the what are they called when you change the inflections and tones in your voice? I'm trying to be a better MC. Enunciation, voice inflection, and all that type of stuff. Bradley don't know, but Big Brain said,
I think that's a big word. Sounds right.
Mm.
yeah. Well,
It's
that-
enunciation.
enunciation.
Parents, it's
Say it with
enunciation.
authority.
All right, so I'm going to enunciate my words better and use different voices and inflections and try to keep everybody engaged because we can. I hit a high note every once in a while. I'm just trying shit out.
They're getting warmed up now. The lungs are getting a little warmed up.
See?
Okay. I see you.
Ronald Burgundy. He's awkward though, isn't he?
Like Ron Burgundy.
He'll read whatever you put on that prompter.
I need some
You
Ron
got the
Burgundy
you got-
vocal
Get
exercise.
the vocal exercises going.
I have, but I don't remember it like you remember it apparently.
You ever seen Anchorman?
Okay, well,
Nah. That's like the first
well
one's got.
you
like,
keep sharing
significant-
your brain power because it's thick. Thick brain. We have a Viola Desmond event that we're gonna do. What's the
Where are we
organization
going?
called?
What's going on?
North End Business Association in partnership and collaboration with. We're thinking end of this year. probably
Dollar
December.
bills, y'all.
I'm thinking December. What?
Dollar bills, y'all.
You trying to make it rain?
No, she's on the $10 bill.
Oh, Viola Desmond. Yeah, she is on the $10 bill. We're gonna have a $10 bill conversation.
It's just like right over his head.
Do you know who Viola
Talk
Desmond
about
is?
who Viola Desmond is here for a minute, in case anybody doesn't know.
Bradley, do you know who Viola Desmond is?
Bradley?
Do you want to give the listeners a quick, brief history lesson on Viola Desmond? To show your African Canadian studies teacher from grade 11 that you were paying attention.
Without going into too much depth, I'll give the significance of the event that took place that kind of led to her being, I guess, a notable figure.
Do it.
So she was kind of like the Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks.
Okay.
In that she went into a theater in a segregated town. It was actually in New Glasgow, where my grandfather was born. Doesn't have the greatest history. Doing a lot better now. Doesn't have the greatest history.
Yeah.
However, so she went into this theater to enjoy a show and walked onto the main floor and took a seat and refused, very much like Rosa Parks, to give up her seat. And that they were supposed to be colored folk at the time were supposed to sit upstairs in the balcony seating and not down on the main floor. And so she refused to give up her seat. And
Viola said, fuck that shit.
fuck that shit.
And she didn't.
And she didn't do that. Yeah. So she was kind of like the Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks.
Now she's on the $10 bill.
Now she is going to be the first female on a currency in Canada.
And she's African Nova Scotia.
That is correct.
Where do you know where she grew up?
No, and I'd be lying if I tried to guess.
Don't lie to me.
So I'm not gonna lie.
People, do your Googles. Let us know where Viola Desmond grew up. If you're really about that. Nova
I want to say
Scotia
like
history.
Parsbro, but that could be completely wrong.
Well, if he's right, he's right. If he's here, do your Googles. I'm gonna keep talking. So yeah, we're working on an event, a live show, talking to some youth from the North End Halifax community about Viola Desmond, about business, about perseverance, all type of shit. So that's gonna come before 2018 is over. So make sure you keep an eye out, and we'll make sure that we keep you posted because we need humans in the seats, yo. We're trying to do this live event thing. Trying to do more live events, bring more to listeners, people who typically got us plugged into the ears, into a human experience with us. Maybe some foods involved, maybe some, some life lessons. Chatter, we'll just bring the people. Mike has a new startup. He's pitching in a Volta. Mike Tanner pitching. He pitched, and he's moving forward enough, and now he's competing for $25,000. I think. Is that how it goes? I think so. Mike's up for some cash. So,
Yeah.
he is pitching for $25,000. So much love to Mike Tanner. Best of luck to Mike Tanner. Yeah, if Mike was here, he'd tell you, but he's not. So we're sending him love. I think he's doing dad duties. Seems like a constant thing that dads do.
Yeah,
We're not
I don't know
experts
much
on that
about it.
topic.
No, we're not
No.
going to talk
Seems
about
like it takes-
parenting and fatherhood because we would just be talking shit. Did you hear anything about Nicki Minaj and Cardi B
That's the last.
and their beef?
You know what? I don't really follow it. Obviously, if you're on this earth, you've probably heard about it.
Yeah.
And a fan of hip hop
Yeah.
at all, then you've probably heard about it.
But
But
you're
I
not-
don't. I don't follow it. I don't have any idea really what's going on, the latest on it, and who's talking, who's saying what about who. I'm not really into it.
Yeah, okay. Kyler, have you been paying attention? Okay.
I don't know. He's an hip hop fan. I consider myself, but who's Cardi B? I remember Nicki Minaj a couple times back when he was with the bars, but like, aren't they the same person? I see pictures of one. I'm like, oh, it's Nicki Minaj. No, it's this other one. Like, what is it? Is it just like two chicks with fake asses who are in a fight now? And this is news?
We don't have
Like,
Twitter.
I seriously don't know. Somebody like tweet at us. Let me know what's up.
Tweet
I've been telling people to tweet
Kyler
this whole time. This is not
about
good.
the fake
tweet at me then.
booty violence happening in hip hop amongst the queens of rap music.
They seriously just got in a
Wait.
World Star style brawl. Yeah, I have seen something.
A fashion show. There was
got in a full-on
there was
World
a
Star
shoe
style
thrown.
brawl
There was
at
a
award
knot.
show or something,
Apparently,
I saw that.
there was a young lady who punched Cardi B 9 times in the exchange. Nicki Minaj has the footage, but Nicki Minaj is also willing to pay $100,000 for the footage. So she got punched 9 times
9 times.
in the span of time that no one was
That's
able to
the amount of
take
times
out.
that 50 Cent got shot.
She was surrounded by bodyguards. She
some quick hands,
she
man.
throws phantom punches. And you ever see Neo in The Matrix? That's what Nicki Minaj has in her crew. Okay, so they punched Cardi 9 times. She got a knot on her head. Nicki Minaj has the footage, but is willing to pay $100,000 for this said footage that she already had.
I somehow understand this whole thing.
I don't
last
want to get in
started.
between the queens of rap beef, but I just think everyone is making too much money to be this upset about what's going. Now, this is me being a poor
So-
person talking about the lives and standards of rich people, but
See, now you talk about queens of hip hop, and I have a problem with that expression when you're talking
Uh-oh.
about these two. Like,
why?
you need to throw other people in that conversation,
Who?
like Rhapsody.
Oh, okay. That I too would put Rhapsody in queens of hip hop.
I mean, hip hop. We're not talking about like whatever that pop. We're not talking about pop music in general.
We're not talking about pop
They've
music.
sold more records,
Yeah,
but like
rap,
we're talking about
real hip hop.
hip hop.
Do you hear the Rhapsody J. Cole track?
Hmm.
Bradley likes it.
You know, J. Cole.
You know
That's
how-
my dude.
You know how you light skinned folks stick together.
That's my dude. Hey, you know, we have a story to tell, and it's an important story. and it's actually refreshing to hear my story being told through hip hop.
What do you mean?
With artists like Logic and J. Cole, and it's a different experience and a
Your
dark skin
story
experience.
is told through the lens of Logic. I think Logic's interesting because Logic doesn't really look black, but he is black. His father's black, no?
Yeah,
But he doesn't visually overly resemble or have the features of said black features. And I
but you know, growing up for me, I kind of fit in everywhere and nowhere. So
Okay.
I would go to whatever. I played a lot of sports, so I would go to practice or whatever, and majority of the players on the team are white, and I fit in there, but I don't really fit in. And they'll make a joke that it is like, or they'll say something on lyric in a song, you know what word I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa, let's
Bradley.
back up here. And they're like, well, you're not really black. You know,
You're
so
not really black.
and so you get this. It's a different experience, right? So, you kind of fit in everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
I guess colorism, is that the term that they use? Different shades of blackness have different experience of blackness, and then I feel like colorism is more of a like I would dislike you for your lighter shade, or you would hate on darker shade. But it's
And I'm not saying it's a better or worse experience. It's
Absolutely.
just a unique experience, right?
different.
So, and I think it's a shared experience. It's not, and I'm a person who loves hip hop. I'm a big hip hop fan, and like that's been a lot of black culture for me growing up in the '90s. That was like arguably the golden era
Arguably, yeah.
of hip hop. The
Yeah.
'80s, '90s, late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah.
So, you know, growing up in that time, it was very influential. But most of the artists, they just talked about the black experience in general,
Right.
not necessarily.
Okay,
what it
so
was like to
you're
be-
talking Logic, you're talking J. Cole. Bring me back more in time to some of the artists that maybe weren't of the biracial experience, and some of those, or
Well, even
some who
the ones
were.
that were, it just wasn't something that was talked about. Like,
Right,
but like Nas is kind of light skinned. He's my favorite rapper of all time.
right, of
You know, Illmatic. You know,
course.
that album with the producers that it had on it is considered one of the masterpieces of hip hop, right? And
Sure.
but he didn't. You know, it wasn't. Nobody in that era really talked about what it was like to be light skinned. Really, I don't think that was a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It was more political. It was more deep. It was more heavy. It was more generalized. It was more
Right.
those things. We're getting more specific now with hip hop, which
What
is
do you mean?
interesting.
More specific in terms of
Well,
what?
we're not just kind of generalizing some of the issues, and there's some deep dives into some things. It was just kind of refreshing that we've reached a point in society where we can talk about these things openly through music, and people can express themselves and feel comfortable doing so, and not like they're going to be judged by. And a lot of times they are judged, but the majority of their fan base is supporting them, supportive of this progression in music.
Interesting. The biracial. Why do you laugh like that?
I don't know. I don't think it's like something that needs to have a large amount of time sort of delegated to it. It's more just something that I've noticed recently.
I would argue that the biracial experience, and I feel like the biracial experience is like, I mean, if we look at the definition of the word, it's just two races. But we naturally assume biracial in America to be black, white. And I think the experience of black Asian or like Celtic and like Australian, like who may both be of white skin color. I'm like, and I don't, maybe people don't think about this shit, but I'd be very intrigued in like two people who visually look the same, but are from two polar different sides of the world. And like,
Well, so you talking about, okay, you find it interesting that I would say that Logic was somebody who would say my experience where I'd actually look a little bit more with my hair and my skin
Right.
tone, look a little bit more black than he
Right.
would, whereas you would look at him and think you'd not even know that he's black.
Right.
So
Right.
he kind of explained this in one of a lot of times he'll just start talking on a track instead of rapping.
Yeah.
And he kind of explained it in that, imagine if it was the other way around. Imagine if he embraced this white side of him. Like, I love being white, which he does. He says that. He says, I love being white. I love being black.
yeah,
But, imagine if that's the only thing he did. He was like, because people criticize him all the time for like, why are you like so proud to be black? You don't even look black.
right,
Why are you so proud of that?
right,
And the way he kind of explained it and described it was like, imagine if I was just like, I'm so white and it's great and I'm selling all these records and I'm talking about things that are important to white culture and white.
yeah,
How would people look at me then? And then they find out that my father was black. He was like, oh, he hates black people. He has all this self-hatred for, things.
right,
Imagine how that would look.
yeah,
Not just how it would look, but like, why would you want to do that? That's a part of you, right? So why would you kind of suppress that?
I guess it's interesting for me, and
And so
not
people
to-
criticize him for expressing that side of himself, even though he doesn't look that way.
right.
Um,
But if he didn't say anything, then
people would
Right.
criticize that. So it was,
I think it's a really interesting conversation. Not to exclude the white guy from the conversation, but you're absolutely involved. It's the beauty of this show, right? Like we have conversations that typically white people wouldn't be privy to. So, but I find it very interesting as coming from two black parents, and then seeing the biracial experience, and then hearing that it's different, but not like you're saying, like being accepted by everyone, but no one. And it,
or even like I've been in a bank as a kid, as a child, like an early teenager,
yeah,
with my mom, and who's white, and she's taking money out, and I'm like joking around, being a teenager, kind of bugging. She's like, hey, can you stop that? Like, act normal, like behave yourself.
yeah,
And somebody who's standing in line is like, hey man, leave that woman alone.
yeah,
And it's like, that's my son. So, there's been cases where, I've been looked at negatively because of the way I looked, and people don't see the relation between my mother and I. And so it's like, I've had people like, hey, do you need help, lady? Like, is this guy bugging you, kind of thing? And it's like, this is my mother. So, imagine, your mom, and you're like goofing around with her, and nobody would think twice, right? So
and that's the thing. I can't imagine that because me and my mother are the same complexion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say, like, I wouldn't even, like, we should bring attention to it because it is different. And there's an understanding about it that even, like, those in the black community may or may not understand. Those in the white community understand. But your experience is unique in that. So I'm intrigued by it. Shit, I wish there was a group of people who I felt like accepted me. Not that I feel like I want that, but like I feel like that'd be an interesting way of doing life in general. Just like, I don't know, man. It's different. Different. This is very interesting.
it is. It's an interesting
Very interesting.
topic. As a kid, when you're trying to self-identify, like what do you identify as?
Yeah.
And I remember like distinctly going to my dad and being like, so what am I? Like, if people ask me, like, what, am I black? Am I white? Like, what?
Yeah.
And he kind of was like, well, what do people see? And I was like, well, they see a black guy. He's like, well, that's kind of how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, so, and I don't know if I just more embrace that side because all of my family is here and I had such a strong African Nova Scotian presence around me, like every week, every day, every, moment throughout life that, I really embraced that side of me. But,
I love that we got here from like Cardi and Nicki rap beef. We got to the life.
I went down the rabbit hole a
the
bit.
biracial experience. No, I'm so cool with that. Damn it, the big man just brought chicken up. Is it time to eat? Are we gonna keep talking? Well, I mean, we just kind of finished this train of thought. If we're gonna eat now,
don't
it's
let
time
this
to
chicken
eat now.
get cold.
Let's eat now. Yeah. Cool. We'll be back. Back on? Back on live? That was a little punch in. Y'all know what a punch in is? So it's when you're recording, stop recording, and then you're like, and we're back.
Here we are.
That's a punch
Learning.
in. And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back to the Changing the Narrative podcast, episode 24. We just ate some fried chicken. Ooh.
But who's to go? Who's Korean to go? My goodness.
Uber
You guys make a
Eats.
fine fried chicken.
Uber Eats.
Skip the dishes.
Skip the dishes?
Yeah, they're on Skip the Dishes. You got 2 locations, one Bedford Highway.
We're not getting paid by Skip the Dishes. Stop plugging Skip the Dishes like we got a check coming in the mail.
I want people to get this fried chicken. If that's what they got to do, that's what they got to do.
Oh, I got some shit in my teeth.
Like that
This
one?
one?
Right? No, the other side.
The other side. I got some shit in my teeth. It's still there. Still there, Bradley. Oh!
See, I got you,
It's good?
man. I got you, dog. Yeah, you good?
That is a real friend because
Can't
most
just
friends
run
will
the
let
whole
you
time,
talk
like-
all day. Because I got a camera dead in my mouth too, right? So I'm going to have a camera dead in my mouth with chicken flakes. And I said, hey, everyone, make sure you check your teeth before we get back on camera. And look at the guy not checking his damn teeth before we get back on the camera. That's okay. That's what Bradley's here for. All right, so before we get into like some real topics, I want to talk about our lesson of the week. I have a lesson. And the 3 of us partook in this lesson a little over 24 hours ago. My lesson is eat food together. As much as possible with the people that you care about because it's just something that we don't do. and we eat food by ourselves, and we eat food at our desks, and we eat food while we're driving. And oftentimes don't just sit the fuck down and make a big ass plate of some random ass shit that you and your friends made that tastes delicious as fuck and listen and watch football till your fiance is tired of listening to and watching football.
The wild thing when you think about it, that we don't eat together. What was the stat you were quoting? Something like the average time spent at a meal in European cultures.
Who said this?
Was that you?
It wasn't me. I don't do stats.
It was something like 17 minutes in North America.
It might have been
Thompson.
Sounds like something he'd say. Yeah, but it was
Or Christina.
I thought it was Christina.
Might have been Christina. What's Christina's last name?
Brock.
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 Bradley said Bra.
Brock.
Christina Brock. Shouts to Christina Brock. With 17 minutes we eat together.
Yeah, some not even together.
It
but
was like 7 minutes or something.
It was the average time
17
spent.
minutes.
Yeah, 7 or 11 or something. But it was the average time spent sitting down at a meal. Like your average meal, and I'm assuming we're talking about dinner here, but it's like 11 minutes in North America, and it's to the order of 45 minutes plus. You go to some European countries. I mean, anyone who's traveled or lived over there, you know what it's like. Like a meal's an event. It starts at 7 and it goes till whenever.
You take the apéro. You have the apéro first,
Okay.
and then you have the meal.
Okay.
And then you have the digestif.
Dessert.
No, it's all alcohol based. Come on.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
French. You know?
Okay.
And you have the digestif.
Okay.
And then you sit and talk for like hours.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the meal. Like that was life in France when I was there.
How long are you in France for?
2 years off and on.
That's-
6 months at a time.
That's the French life.
That was it.
Eat food, talk.
Yeah. And it might take place at 2 or 3 different spots. We might go one place for apéro and
What
have
does that mean?
it's like they have certain types of
Apéro?
alcohol.
It's like a
Apparel.
before dinner drink and an
Yeah.
after dinner drink. So
But
they're-
it was more of a general like cultural term than it was like an actual drink. They have certain like pastis is what they usually drink for that, but it could be anything. It's just a pre-meal drink.
Okay.
So you'd have a pre-meal alcoholic beverage and socialize, and then you'd have your meal, which that was a whole process in and of itself.
Right.
And then after you'd have a digestif. And
Wow.
it's like 11, 12 by then.
And it's just
and their
food and-
attitude and their energy is still like
Yeah. Wow.
it's like a communal thing. But you think about, when was it that we stopped having family?
Oh,
70s, 60s maybe, but how long before that was your meal that one communal thing? If you're running around in the fields or you're running around chasing a woolly mammoth or whatever it was,
A woolly mammoth.
I mean, take it that far back. Like once you get some of that delicious mammoth, like now everyone's getting together and you're eating it and you're sharing it and you're talking about mammoth hunting or
Yeah.
whatever it was you did if you weren't hunting mammoths.
Yeah.
Catching up on your day.
Mammoth hunting.
well, then a lot of cultures, the way you eat the food is also a communal experience as well. Like it's all laid out on a platter and you use whatever bread form to lift it up and eat it, and everybody kind of eats from the same. So like a lot of Ethiopian meals are served that way.
Yeah.
Place you really, you see that Indian restaurants, mostly non-traditional, but non-North American restaurants, maybe an Italian place. You order something, you're getting a dish of it. And it's just that. It's not like, here's my hamburger platter. It's, all right, I got some General Tso's chicken. That thing. But you just get this plate of it, splitting that with people at your table. So even just that act of ordering something, having to share it, like you're going to get the last piece of chicken versus like, all right, I got my little plate of food and this is mine, and when I'm done with it.
And I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'm so impatient. Like I have things to do that I want to do. I want to, have the meal, eat it, get out and go do the things you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Instead of like taking the time to just sit down and talk and socialize and chat and enjoy the meal.
Are our lives really that busy?
Probably not. No. But
We're good at telling ourselves that, though.
and while like society's restaurants and everything is built around it, like they'll come, oh, anything else I can get you? Oh, okay, just your bill. And then they say take your time, but you're expected to leave within the next couple minutes. And
Yeah.
And they don't do that in Europe.
No.
They will not bring you your bill
No.
unless you ask for it.
No.
I was confused every time I ever ate dinner when I was living in Germany. Like sitting there by myself, wondering if I smelled bad. Nobody coming over, no one seeing me. Do I want to be rude? All right, get over here. I got to get this going. Oh, they just let you sit? They're not hustling for tips either, so they really don't care if you get up.
well, that's just it, right? So, when you go to culinary school just to be a server and you get paid a living wage and, you don't really, yes, you're not hustling for tips, but like the quality of service that you're getting is just so much better, like from this professionally trained person that is actually paid very well to do their job. And they take pride in it. It's a different,
They go to
Yeah.
culinary
that was
school
a whole
for that?
different, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
in
did not
France
know
at
that.
least. In France at least they do.
They go to school for everything.
Well, the bottle opening, like the serving, they take it serious, and they drink a lot of wine. So you gotta be able to open a bottle of wine properly. And
I watch too many of those cooking shows on Netflix. They've got a school for everything, but like the maître pâtisserie or something, the master pastry chef. They get that red, white, and blue, kind of big Jesus piece chain thing, and it's like it's a crime to rock that if you don't have that designation. I'd be interested to see if anyone has actually been prosecuted, because that'd be an amazing trial. But that's pretty wild that they take it that seriously.
yeah, well, the awesome thing about it, when I was there, the head coach of the team was actually like restaurant management. That was his day job outside of football.
That must have been awful.
And well, he took us to the school where he studied, and it was awesome because you get a fine dining experience for super cheap because it's a school. So everybody there is like training, but the food was like,
Yeah, you can do that
really
over
good
at
quality.
you can do that in NSCC as well, but I feel like it's probably not the same thing. Not knocking culinary tech at NSCC by any means, but
yeah, I mean, we're not world renowned for our cuisine like they are in France. So
Yeah, France is a little different.
they're different, very different. Lots of different things about
Ooh.
France.
I need to go to France. Where would I go? Where would
Go
you
to the
recommend?
south. Go to the south. I lived in the south, and that was all I knew for a while. I hadn't been to Paris, hadn't been to any of the northern parts, but and it was just so relaxed and welcoming, and the weather obviously is a lot warmer
Yeah.
along the Mediterranean. And then I went to Paris, and everything was just so expensive. And if you're into museums and those sort of things, and yeah, it's an awesome experience.
Yeah.
But I was more into nature and hiking and all of those things that
Yeah.
were all in the South, and awesome people that were laid back and just wanted to have a good time. And
Yeah.
so the South, and knowing you, I think you'd enjoy the South.
Good, because I need a better vacation spot than my last one. I'm going to take Bradley's words. I'm going to France. I should go to France.
You should.
do it. Go down there, pop over to Bavaria. It's funny. I lived in Germany, and it was a similar sort of thing.
How long were you in Germany for?
It was 3 months, 4 months. Same deal as Bradley there. It was football season. I just did the one, but it was a similar thing in Germany. Like Bavaria is like, I mean, Germany's not even that old a country, right? Like it wasn't, I don't think it was too long before they actually formed from, all these other countries and kingdoms that they started making the news for doing not the friendliest stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was like 10, 15 years before World War I. I think that was part of the reason they started it, was they were just so, they were kind of feeling their oats as a new country. They got all the, Prussia and Bavaria and Saxony and everything together. And anyway, Bavaria still very much got its own identity. So it'd be kind of like almost like going to Quebec if they spoke the same language. It's like, oh, you're Canadian? Yeah, guy might say, I'm Quebecois. So it'd be the same sort of thing. They're Bavarians, and they're citizens of Germany, but they're Bavarians. And their vibe was very...
I've never seen that more prevalent than when I went to Spain. And
the Catalans and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
It's wild over there. They got like all these nations within nations that we just don't hear about.
No, not at all. Everybody's like, oh, I'm going to Barcelona, I'm going to Spain. Mm-hmm. You're not going to Spain. They barely speak Spanish there.
Didn't they throw a dude in jail over that? The leader of the Catalan separatist?
I'm not sure. I didn't hear, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they had a referendum a few months back, and he took off for Belgium or something. I'm probably getting this wrong, but yeah, they're just trying to separate.
You're the stats guy. You can't get the shit wrong.
Hard to separate. Mm-hmm. They really do not want to be part of Spain, and it would cripple the Spanish economy.
A lot of things would cripple the Spanish economy. Apparently, that's the only reason Scotland hasn't pushed harder to separate from the UK. Or Spain is the major reason, because the EU won't say that Scotland can have automatic entry into the EU, because Spain's blocking them, because Spain doesn't want to set the precedent that, all right, you can just break up with your country and still be part of the EU, because then they'd have, it would just be taken off.
It was also interesting in that from the UK kind of treated it like they're Mexico in the way that we go down to Cuba and Mexico as like this vacation spot. All kinds of different countries, but primarily the UK would come down and.
Well, you can tell folks from the UK when they're on vacation because they make it very apparent.
How?
They like to have a good time, and I don't know. The English don't have a great track record of going around the world and being great guests. I mean, talk to a lot of countries. They tend to set up shop and then make themselves at home.
The English. I didn't say it.
That's all right. Sun never set on the British Empire for a while.
You're the smart guy. See? I don't know none of this shit.
Just hang around them. Hang around them, and then you will. And then you'll be in a conversation where you'll be bringing it up.
Ooh.
And they'll be like, Terrence, he's a smart guy, because he is.
Well, thank you. I don't know none of that shit.
I don't remember facts.
No, I told you I don't do stats.
You're still a smart guy.
I just do opinions. Thank you. Because I just do opinions.
Well, I mean, some of the masterpieces that you've put together, you have to be smart to do that stuff. Intelligence is not just what you remember.
Thanks, Bradley.
Yeah.
See?
Don't forget, you're a very intelligent guy.
Thank you, Bradley.
You're just bigging up him all the time for being so intelligent. Not to say that, Kyler's... I have never met anybody remember as many names.
He's good, eh?
It's like, I don't even remember the coach that was at my school in
everybody.
In 2006.
You don't forget anything, do you?
I don't know how it sticks. I just attribute. I got a lot of teachers in my family. They were putting books in front of me and stuff when I was a kid, so I just get. I can't remember anything that makes me money, which is kind of the frustrating thing about it. But Simpsons quotes, football stats, shit, yeah.
General information, you know all of it.
I'm like a walking bathroom reader. You guys know what the bathroom reader is?
I don't know a bathroom reader.
All right, somebody get asked. Tell Terrence about the bathroom reader.
What's a bathroom reader? I'm asking you. You know everything.
It was like just this book of random facts. They publish a new one every year.
And you just sit on a toilet and read
it? I guess for people who just want to sit in the toilet and read shit while they're there. Yeah. We're talking about being all busy, not having time to eat. You don't even have time to do that. You got to be learning stuff.
Shitting and learning simultaneously.
Apparently.
That's too much. I just want to shit and shit.
No, you got to be focused.
No, I don't. I want to focus on shitting while I'm shitting.
You want to be present. That's your moment of zen.
I need to be in my moment of shitting. I don't need to be reading about the fucking Jeopardy facts while I'm shitting. This is too much.
And that's why Kyler knows the capital city of every country in the UK.
He shits and reads at the same time. Smart man. He's making the most of his time. If you're gonna sit there, you might as well learn something.
He's doing
that adds up over a lifetime. That's a lot of time. You can do something with it.
We do spend a lot of time shitting, or at least sitting on the toilet. Some of us pee sitting down. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
Sometimes you're lazy and you don't want to stand up and miss.
just got to get the job done.
Sometimes
right?
you think you
gotta
got to
do
shit, and you sit down and you don't have to shit, but you sat down and took a pee.
Yeah.
Most of the times you're right though.
I feel like
Most of the times, you
I
sit
feel
down
like
and
I
you're
got a
right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
If I need to sit, I probably need to sit for a reason.
Yeah, I got a pretty good gauge on that. I trust my gut on that one.
What are we
Jack when
even
he needs
talking
to sit
about?
down to shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, yo. No puns intended there. So the main plot of the story is eat food together.
I was wondering how we
Now
got
we
here.
dug ourselves out of that rabbit hole. Holy shit. Okay, so I just want to quickly update people. We usually do weekly updates, so I want to do a quick update. But this is just like a personal, professional update, just in terms of the podcast. I think it's really important for me to share how I feel about what's happening. Excuse me.
Tell us how you really feel.
With the podcast, I know, just cough right in the microphone. It's okay. This is my microphone. It's all good. I'm really excited about what's happening with the podcast. Every time I buy a new piece of equipment, I like text in our group chat about it, and y'all think I'm a little kid at Christmas, but I really do be feeling really excited because it is really exciting. It's more than just building the podcast. It's actually like growing my production company, which is like what I'm doing like for a living. So it's really important to have that. It's also cool to see how we started this podcast from fucking Peter's apartment in like this small corner that we really couldn't all fit in. With like, that's what I'm saying, yo. With like, we bought all of our mics for like $150, and $150 was the down payment, which was a 10% down payment on 3 microphones. So I say all that to say, like, it's important to invest in the thing you believe in, the thing you actually want to do. I want to talk a bunch of shit, and I want to listen to other people talk shit and tell stories and be themselves. And so I feel like there's an avenue for that. And if we build that through this podcast and we create this open environment for people to come sit for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just fucking say how they feel, I feel like that's a lane in which I don't know if there's many podcasts in Atlantic Canada. I don't know if there's many podcasts, mine is Joe Rogan, that really just invite people on here to just talk for hours and hours about how they feel and what's going on. And I'm inspired by those types of podcasts, Joe Rogan, Joe Budden, Brilliant Idiots, Drink Champs, like just long form, people just being themselves and sharing how they feel. So I think it's really important for me as a AV production company. That's pretty fucking cool. I never thought that would be a thing. But now that this is what's happening, like Para's sitting behind the screen because she got 4 cameras on one screen and she's monitoring the screens, and Brielle's in the back taking photographs, and there's lights and shit, and there's like really expensive things and like a really semi-professional little setup we got going on here.
This is fully professional. I remember I walked in here today and I was just like, damn. Last time I was at one of these, it was looking a little different than it is now.
It was looking a little different.
Yeah.
Back, what was that? The event.
The last time it was
Social
at the
network event.
No, it was when you had the live stream of the podcast here.
Oh, with Cashmere.
Yeah, with Cashmere.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying, yo. It's growth. So for me, it's like, you know what? If we can get better every day, if we can tell stories about how we got better every day, some little kid's going to see this shit and be like, oh, I could do that too if I just try every week to just try. So that's exciting for me, upgrading the production.
When I look around, I see like 6 or 7 tripods. It's like, wow, okay.
Man, we just trying to, like, congratulations to everybody who won the Coast Best Of in all categories that they existed in. And I feel like it was an honor for us to be nominated. I think that's like a pretty cool thing. Unfortunately, myself, Duane, the podcast, and Peter, we didn't win. But I think it's a testament to the fact that we're doing something worth talking about. There's how many podcasts happening to be even recognized as one of 7.
Absolutely.
Of all the videos that are being put out in the province of Nova Scotia, to be one of 7 people to be like, oh, this person makes some kind of interesting ones. Of all the fashion that's being created, 2 of the 7 people are from this podcast. So I mean, whatever it is we're doing, it's working. Whatever it is we got going on, it's really good. People doing really good things. So for me, I'm just trying to just boost that as much as possible, man.
That's really all it is. Like you said, it's a testament to, getting the word out there and getting people interested. I mean, best of, and again, no disrespect to the Coast or anyone who's nominated or won. Great work, but it's almost a misnomer, because it's not like there's a panel of judges sitting there evaluating every one of those, in whatever category, every one of the nominees, and saying, okay, compare them on their relative merits. It's how many people do you get hype, and you can get them to come out and vote for you. So it's to measure your reach, right? Which is very valid too, because
Right.
if people don't feel passionately about something, they're not going to get up and go vote.
Facts.
Yeah. Or you're just really good at promoting yourself, one or the other.
That too.
But yeah, I think this the fact that inside a year you've been able to do this, and
we've been able to do this.
yeah, I just got here last week, so thank you for putting me in there. But you've been at this a little longer.
Yeah, you're part of it, yo. You're absolutely part of it.
Yeah.
Nah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy to see it just happen. Just like all right, it's fun. And now that we've got 4 cameras, editing the video portion of the podcast takes about 3 to 4 times longer. I don't care, because I'm happy. I love it. I love editing it. I love putting together, cutting from your face to mine to yours to Y to back and forth. Like, I'd rather do that.
You got to do that now that you said it, cutting to your face to mine to yours. Now you're going to have to edit.
like during
Action.
that piece when I just said
Well,
that.
yeah.
Well, I'll do that for you, Bradley.
Damn, that's
And we're
meta.
going to send it to Bradley. Bradley's going to repost it because Bradley asked for it. So damn it, Bradley gets what Bradley wants. Smile
Appreciate
at the camera.
it.
Just quick. There it is. That's how we're going to end that little snippet. All for you, buddy. All for you. So now I'm just happy that it's growing. I'm happy that it's working. I'm happy that people are listening. I'm happy that this shit's working, yo. It's crazy to think about, but it is real. So that's that. Fuck. We're trying to get a football team here in Halifax, no? CFL? Is that what's going down?
Yeah, they're working on it. Atlantic Schooners, give it another try. What's that, 30, 40 years? How long has it been since they had that franchise?
Too long. Mind you,
80s?
the effort wasn't legitimate. It was more so that it's pushed by the CFL
Yeah.
to say, we need a 10th team. You guys do it.
Yeah, so everybody out there in podcast land who doesn't know the backstory, when you hear the old guys talk about, they tried football here, it didn't work. There was a franchise awarded to a group in Halifax in like 82 or something, way back. It was going to be Atlantic Schooners, and I think technically it always continued to exist in some way. Like they never folded, they just never did get started, which is kind of weird in its own way. I guess they have a party every year at the Grey Cup. A couple guys go up and put it on, and it's a fundraiser.
So when Randy, the commissioner, came here for that, he was going around the country, and they had a big, it was down at the West End,
yeah.
a big thing kind of with the new ownership group that's pushing for the franchise, and Randy was there, and they were all chatting about it. The guy stands up, and he says, I was a part of that group. I was a part of that original group that was awarded the franchise, and I was like on that board. And he was like, what you guys are building right now is 10, 20, 30 steps ahead of where we were. Had no idea what we were doing. It was not as organized. It was not as funded. Didn't have this plan that you got. So he was like, I feel very optimistic about the direction that this is going based on what you guys are telling it. And it very much came from like, this is a great idea. It should happen. Not putting together the proposals, the business plans, the actual, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
First.
It's a tough question, right? Because CFL is such a funny thing. Because the first argument against it you always hear, just in terms of purely, would the team succeed? Would it draw? Would it be a success as a football team? Putting aside, impact on the community, public money for private assets, which I'm sure we'll get into. But CFL's always struck me as a funny thing, because you're out there in Saskatchewan and you've got probably the most successful franchise, draws the most rabid fan base in Saskatchewan, right?
And it's very similar to our market. And so it's interesting you mentioned that because I've been to every single CFL stadium and I've, on game day, and I've felt what that atmosphere feels like. And being in Toronto, there's so much competition. People say, how are we going to have a team? Look at Toronto and all the millions of people they have. And, Nova Scotia, we're supposed to support a team with, the small population we have here. But the turnout that we had at that talk that Randy and the owners, the turnout was incredible. There were hundreds of people there. If the Toronto Argos did that today, and they tried to have any kind of event for the fans to come out and do whatever, they would have a really difficult time getting people to come out to it. And so that event was really kind of blew my mind. And there were people that stood up and said, I drove 4 hours to be here. And if you start a franchise, I'll buy season tickets tomorrow.
Yeah. Did you tell the people about your connection to all that?
I was just going to
your
say.
time in the league? I think that sounds like a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I didn't get the opportunity as a player, and I'm actually pretty kind of happy that everything happens for a reason, right? And so the timing wasn't right, for whatever circumstances wasn't right for me as a player. As much as, you grow up and you're like, I'm going to play football in the league someday. Like I'm going to, and you work your butt off, and, you start to realize at this age, I got an education. I traveled the world. I've made a livelihood doing this. And everything kind of happened for a reason. So it didn't happen in the university, and it did happen in university, but I didn't make it to the CFL as a player. So I decided I wasn't done playing football, and I went overseas, and like we kind of talked about a little earlier, played ball in France for a couple of years and had the opportunity to go to several different countries.
What did you play? What position did you play?
So started as a receiver, played both ways in university.
Okay.
My first game actually starting at receiver and corner was when we broke the 34-game losing streak at Mount A, because when I got there, they hadn't won a game in 4 seasons.
Wow.
And so
You
4
playing
games
both
in,
ends caused them to win.
I wouldn't say that, no.
Well, I'm saying that.
We, is in all that recruiting class will tell you, Steve Lalonde did a lot of things wrong, but what he did right was bring together a really, really talented group of rookies. Now, keeping them all there was another challenge because at the time we didn't have the academic focus that, Kelly brought in when he, took over as head coach. Anyway, did that for a while, came back, decided I wanted to coach. And so I went to Mount A and coached there for 2 years under Kelly Jeffrey's staff. And when he decided to step down for family reasons and decided, maybe I'm done football for a while. And the Argos actually reached out to him and said, listen, go be with your family 6 months out of the year and come coach football for 6 months. And he was like, yeah, okay. I've got 2 kids that are going to school and I want to be around during that. And this gives me the opportunity to do something I love, which is coach football and, be around my family. So he decided to take that job, and I got a call from him, and he kind of half tried to convince me, half tried to convince me not to. He said, I'd like for you to join me, and what do you think about Toronto? And I was like, well, I don't know where I'm at with my banking career, and I think, I'm about to take the next step and blah, blah, blah. And then I was just kind of like, what am I talking about?
Yeah.
If I'm sitting at a Bank of Montreal desk and I'm 60 years old thinking about what could have happened, how do I explain that to my grandchildren if I'm fortunate enough to be in that scenario?
Right.
Anyway, so I decided to do it and just made the leap and went out there. And so, you're in an environment where you're, 29 and a lot of the guys on the team are kind of the same age as you. So it was interesting. You got a lot of these American guys who are very talented, and the rest of the coaching staff, I was the only Canadian on staff. So the rest of the coaching staff had either played in the NFL or played in the CFL or, played at, Division I schools in the States. And so they're looking at you like, okay, who are you? So you kind of had to prove yourself. And that was an interesting process to go through. But once you had their respect and you kind of showed, okay, this kid's, one, he's cultured. He's been around the world. He's not just some dumb kid they brought off the street.
Right.
He knows what he's talking about socially. He knows what he's talking about football wise. He's a bright guy. He can put 2 and 2 together, and most of all, he works hard. So once you showed those things and you gain the respect of the players and the coaching staff, then it was great. I loved my time, and mostly because of the mentor I had in Kelly Jeffrey. I gained a lot, not that I didn't respect him as a person and as a head coach, but it's a different relationship with somebody when you play under them, or even when you're a part of their staff, than when you're their direct, they're your direct mentor, and you spend, every hour. And football's a lot. If you're not spending the time in the film room, and the other team is.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
There was a lot of time that went into the preparation for each game, and so we spent a lot of time together. And he taught me a lot, not just about football, but about how to build relationships with people, and how to navigate this monster that is professional sports. And he was going through that same thing himself, being never a part of professional sports, but he talked to a lot more about. I expected him to talk about his experiences at Mount A, but he talked with the players and with the coaching staff and stuff. He talked a lot more about his experiences at UNLV when he was in Vegas.
Oh, hometown baby!
I know that's
hometown.
That's home for you.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, he can't say enough good things about Kelly Jeffrey. Awesome guy.
So you coached, and now you're a Haligonian spectating on the potential CFL team coming to the city.
That's right.
How do you gentlemen feel about that? Because I didn't play the game. I watched it in the NFL, and I mean, it's cool sport. I wouldn't play it because I'm scared to death. I'll just be frank. But a lot of people enjoy it. Apparently, a lot of people would attend the games. Is Halifax the right city for a CFL team? What does this make sense? What's going on here?
I think the devil's in the details. I think you look at Ottawa. They've got a very successful franchise right now, and spend a fair amount of time in Ottawa. And Lansdowne Park, the development they've got going, and just that team itself, it's right up there with the Senators. Maybe even probably ahead of them, because Ottawa's a fickle hockey
They got
town.
old linemen chugging beers as celebrations.
Is that
all,
the guy?
That was a guy.
It was in Ottawa.
Yeah, that
was awesome.
made ESPN. Yeah, I definitely dreamed about doing that. I never did anything noteworthy enough or had any beer around to pull it off, but hell of a celebration. Point being, they had a team forever back when there were 2 Rough Riders franchises in the CFL, which the Americans used to make fun of us for.
What?
Yeah, it was the Saskatchewan Rough Riders and the Ottawa Rough Riders. One of them was 1 word, one of them was 2.
Like St. John and St. John's?
Yeah, that same
But
sort
worse.
of thing.
Worse.
Yeah, way worse.
Worse.
Yeah. So they had that franchise forever. They finally went under. They brought in a team called the Renegades. I remember I saw their first home win. I think it might have been their second season. Anyway, they sucked out loud, and they were gone shortly thereafter.
Sucked out loud.
I mean, as a team, they were decent now and then, but it wasn't well promoted. They didn't get the town behind them, and it just died. And people were saying for years, and I lived in Ottawa. Ottawa's not a football town. Ottawa's not a football town. That's foolish. Ottawa's a huge football town. They just never had a team that was properly marketed. So when they brought in the Red Blacks a few years back,
The who?
they're called the Red Blacks. It ain't much of a name, but
It's terrible. It's actually a miracle they've been so successful.
The
because
Red Blacks?
Their name is
everything about it though. Why couldn't they just call them Lumberjacks? Like their game day
know.
experience. And I've been to a
That's
few.
what they go with, like the flannel, the red and black flannel.
Now that
like
you
the-
say it, I get it. But beforehand, I was like, wait a minute.
The logo's an R.
Red Blacks?
They got like a circular saw kind of thing around it. Yeah, everybody wears their red and black
they're
flannel.
going for the lumberjack kind of theme. I don't know why they didn't just fully go for it, but
Yeah,
What city was this?
it was Ottawa.
it's Ottawa.
The Ottawa
Red Blacks.
Jacks.
Yeah,
The Ottawa L Jacks. No.
Nah,
No?
I don't know.
Maybe,
You'd have
the
to ask
Red
them.
Blacks? Okay.
You'd have
cool,
to
the Red
ask them.
Blacks.
But they,
Red Blacks.
they sell out. It's a hot ticket. People I know who've got no interest in football or sports of any kind.
This is the team's name now?
Yeah, they're called the Red Blacks.
Yeah.
What?
I know. It's wild.
It was one of the best atmospheres to be in. It was unbelievable. And you've got this condo that like overlook the whole like Lansdowne Park. The whole thing is just very well done. So,
Right.
and I think that's kind of what you're getting
Yeah,
at.
they've got a great game day experience. I think that's one of the coolest football experiences I've ever had was they beat Edmonton a couple of years ago. They won the Grey Cup in the semifinals in the middle of a snowstorm in a tightly contested game, and all the fans were I assume that any dude who's wearing red and black flannel to a football game is probably drunk too, but people are
Right.
cheering, people
Yeah.
are all dressed up,
Yeah.
snow's falling. It was like peak Canadiana. But they've done a real good job of promoting that game day experience, and so they made it work. Now, would that work here? I don't know. It's one of those like I'm not going to do that much research to see if they can actually support it. Somebody better, because if you do it right, people drive from Moncton, people drive from Fredericton, which is why I think in terms of stadium location, Shannon Park is definitely a better option than Enfield or out in
I'm
Bayers Lake or
very,
somewhere
very
horrible
glad
like
with
that.
the, I always was an advocate for Shannon Park, and it looked like they were getting away from that. They were talking about Dartmouth Crossing and Bears Lake were the two kind of finalist places that
Dartmouth
they were looking
Crossing
at.
wouldn't have been terrible.
But you think about like, this is supposed to elevate a city. When you bring a franchise to a city, how many places, we kind of talked about this yesterday, but how many places in the States do you know just because of the basketball team that they have or the
Yeah.
college football team that they have, you would not know that place in the States if it wasn't for that sports team. So the whole idea is that it's supposed to elevate your city. And when they do flybys over the stadium and when they do, shots of the aerial shots of the stadium, this is supposed to represent Halifax, right? You want to see Halifax when you do
Right.
that. You do that in Dartmouth Crossing. What are you looking at? IKEA? Like, you do an aerial shot, you do a flyover, you do something like that, and it's supposed to be this, this shot of what Halifax is supposed to be, and it's about putting us on the map globally. This is going to be on ESPN, this is going to be on TSN, this is going to be,
Right.
it's a branding opportunity for us, and so like Shannon Park, right downtown, right.
Where is Shannon Park?
It's on the other side of the McKay Bridge, on the Dartmouth side, where there's just that park there. It just kind of looks like nothing. It used to be a military base.
Between the two bridges?
No,
Yeah.
it kind of.
Yeah, it's just when you go over the Makeda Dartmouth. Yeah, they took everything down. it's in there.
yeah.
It's old,
Brielle, did we
to the
shoot
right
there
side.
before? Yeah, we did shoot there before. Yeah, we did. Okay, cool. I know what you're talking
Yeah, old military barracks. So it was
about. Ooh, that's a nice visual representation
right
of the
there.
city.
Right.
Get a third
You're
ferry
on the
going.
water, like
Yeah.
right there, and then you get a ferry from downtown that goes directly to the game after work.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like
people have plenty of reason to come to Halifax right now from the Maritimes, but with the football team, if you do it right, that's just another reason, and that's why, like you said, it's so important that it's somewhere central. Because I think we were talking about this yesterday, talking about Oakland Raiders
Yeah.
moving to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You said, why would you put a team in Vegas?
Right.
It's got nothing to do with the people in Vegas. It's got to do with the fans, all the other teams. Because if you're some guy from Green Bay, you want to go see your team. You've been saving up. You want to travel and see the Packers. Your wife's been bugging you because she wants to go see Celine Dion in Vegas. Something you can take your mom. She can go play penny slots.
Yeah.
Like Vegas is a destination anyway, and you put a football team there. Every team's fans are going to want to travel and go
And
check
you see
that
the
out.
hockey team.
Yeah, same.
They went to
same deal
Stanley
with
Cup
them.
Finals last year, didn't they? The first year in the franchise. First year in the league, I mean.
Yeah, they had a really good, really smartly run. I don't know much about hockey
and Raider Nation
personnel.
Raider Nation is probably the strongest fan base maybe in the NFL from a traveling perspective. If you're going to talk about like,
I feel like
you have
those-
people. If you grew up here in a place where we don't have a sports team, how many friends of yours do you know that have a Raiders tattoo? That like it was something that you gravitated to
Yeah.
as a fan base that is not from the States or not
Yeah.
from like
I was 10 years old in Moncton, New Brunswick, and I had the Los Angeles Raiders script hat.
Yeah. Raider culture was actually a lot to do with gang culture growing up back home because it was all black and gray, black and white.
well, NWA put them on
that too,
the global map.
right? And when I was in high
That's
school,
what you pictured when you pictured.
right? For sure.
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, there were gang members that like went to our school. Gang members needed an education, so they went to class. But you were not allowed to explicitly wear your gang colors,
So you
or
wore
they'd
black.
kick you out of school. So you wore black. What is the sports team on the West Coast that's predominantly black? Raiders, boom. Mad gang members in Raiders gear and black Dickies and Chucks and Nike Cortezes and shit. So as you say, like this Raider, like I see it. I see how it can be connected to Vegas, LA being an Oakland, like California in itself being a overly Hispanically populated space. You look at Vegas and you think about the hospitality services and all these hotels, and who do you think in America is cleaning beds and cleaning sheets and shit? It ain't white people. It's brown people from Mexico. And the Latino community in Vegas is deep. And when you think of LA and you think of Raiders, I think
You're putting a lot of dots together right now.
that's what I'm saying. So like you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. So, but I'm intrigued from the perspective that you're talking about. Is like other fans of other teams choosing Vegas as a destination because of this new created sports team that exists, and is that kind of what Halifax would be?
Well, and not only that, I think we'd have a lot of converters because we've never had a professional sports team. And there were people that stood up at that meeting and said, I will take off this jersey and buy whatever you call this team, buy one tomorrow. If I will convert. I've been, an Argos fan my whole life.
Right.
But, the minute this place has a franchise, I will be
That's it.
their number one fan. So,
Yeah.
it was really awesome to see that sort of passion and drive behind it because you can't get that in Toronto.
Yeah.
People are they don't get excited about
Yeah.
CFL football.
Well, that would be for us. That would be the first professional sports team in Atlantic Canada playing at we'll call the CFL the top level in Canada, right? Look at the Q, look at the Mooseheads. The Mooseheads do quite well. There's like high school kids. Like let's be serious. Like we love the QMJHL in Canada. We love the CHL. It's the same way Americans love college football. Like, let's go watch kids do stuff, right? And in the smaller communities, so why college football is so big in the South, right? Because who's your pro team? Who's your NBA team from Alabama, right? There's nothing to cheer for in Alabama.
right.
So you cheer for the Crimson Tide, you cheer for the Auburn Tigers.
Right.
Here, like, just imagine, like, it's not where do the is it the Hurricanes now? Mm-hmm. What's the name of the basketball team? Used to be the Rain
Halifax
Men.
Hurricanes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we got teams like that. No disrespect to those guys, but to have the chance to actually have a professional team playing at a high level, I think a lot of people are going to be interested in just
No
that.
disrespect, but a professional team.
It's a high level of basketball. Those guys are playing ball.
Those guys would whoop me. But
They would dunk all over you. But
a lot of
I get
people
what you're
dunk all
saying.
over me.
Yeah,
I don't really leave the ground.
You probably knock somebody off the air before they
But
were allowed to dunk on you.
it's not on ESPN, and it's not it's not something televised in Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa, and so when people are looking at watching this game and seeing the flyover of the stadium and saying, you know what, Halifax looks like a pretty decent. I've never been out east. Maybe I'll fly out to Halifax and check a game.
Yeah.
And spend money at the hotel. Money at the. So that's when you up the taxes on the hotels. You up the taxes on the rental car companies, and these are all the type of things that they're talking about doing as a part of funding the stadium. And so when we get into like the financial side of things, and is this feasible financially? And
that was going to be my question.
That's kind of the biggest.
Yeah, is this actually possible?
Debate, which
or does it just
we haven't
sound
even
good?
touched on that yet. I think it's 1,000% possible from a fan base perspective, and from like it's much needed in this city, and it elevates it. If you want to have a legitimate pitch to an Amazon to actually get Amazon out here, you need to have a professional sports team that's a legitimate professional sports team with a big stadium and lots of people and everything. So from that perspective, 1,000%, I think that it's a big positive step in the right direction. Now, the creative part of it comes in financially. So
Yeah, like how does this
build it?
happen?
We don't have a stadium. We don't have the accommodations for it right now. We can't just have a franchise tomorrow. So, but how do we get there? How do we build a stadium? Is there public funding involved? How much of it comes from
Right.
the ownership group? How much of it comes from the city? Those are all questions. How do we fund it? Do we tax it? How much of it comes from? Are there any, does the general public get involved? Like how do we do it? And so there's a lot of different funding models.
It gets challenging to calculate because the idea, and part of me says, well, yeah, but as you said, this is a draw. This is something that the community as a whole or can benefit from. Shouldn't say every single level of community, but although if you do it right, maybe. But there will be economic spinoff, yeah. But how do you calculate that, right? Because the other
so
part,
I think a lot of teams or a lot of cities, when they're awarded a franchise, are also guaranteed that they get a Grey Cup in a certain amount of years.
yeah, there are formula to calculate it. I'm thinking of, and I don't necessarily know what they are off the top of my head, but you can figure it out. And I think that's kind of the question of, should the city be involved in funding a stadium or should the province?
What do you think?
I think it depends. I think it depends if the economic spin-offs are real or if they're kind of smoke and mirrors. Because obviously, if you're the ownership group, you're going to say how great a thing it is. And yeah,
Right.
people are going to make money. Restaurants are going to make money. Moncton, they just had the UFC up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my numbers wrong, but directly or indirectly, either themselves or through like an arm's length body called Events Moncton that helps bring big events.
Yeah.
They paid something like $150,000 of the $250,000 UFC event fee, right?
Okay.
So their rationale, because obviously, if you're a citizen of Moncton, you're like, wait, you just spent $150,000 to bring UFC? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
But they calculated the spin-off at about $3 million. So that's people.
The revenue that comes through your city is about $3
Yeah,
million.
so you're coming in. They've got a brand new stadium they're trying to show off. This is the first big event right downtown. And I'm from Moncton. That stadium looks nice and way better than what they had before. And it's, talking about Shannon Park, it's centrally located. It's right downtown.
Right.
It's not where the old stadium was, out kind of on the edges. But, people coming in, people coming to town for the fight, people staying in hotels, people eating at restaurants, people, who, the family members who don't want to go to the fight, who are going shopping or they're going off somewhere else.
Yeah.
People
UFC
going to
in town.
bars and watching
Yeah.
it on TV and spending a bunch of money at the bars.
Yeah.
And so the Grey Cup week is a different story. Like people, you're talking now to the 20s or 30s of millions in revenue for a city, and this is like facts. Like this is what actual comes through a city when you have a Grey Cup there. Sometimes you have people that just will drive up on a Wednesday because all this awesome stuff is going on.
Yeah.
They're not going to actually
Not even
come
go
to the game.
Yeah,
They're just coming up because, I'm just going to come up to party because there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of people coming through the city. So why not drive up from Yarmouth and have a good time with my buddies and go back down? So it's like,
So I think the argument's there and the money is there, and drop a team in Halifax tomorrow, there will be economic spinoff and economic benefit. Is that going to outweigh public money, the public money that goes into the stadium? It depends on how you structure the deal. It depends on how you calculate the spinoff. So it's definitely worth looking at.
That's when I call up Lindell and I'm like, yo, where are we spending money now? Where would we need to take money from to spend it on this? Is that worth it? So that's a lot of the residents now. When you hear, I'm just listening to CBC radio on my way into work, and it's a very negative narrative right now around to see if everybody who calls in is somebody that maybe hasn't really heard the full story of how they're going to fund it, but they're assuming, any public money that goes towards it, I'm against it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm not against football. I like sports and yada yada yada. But immediately they're just no. If there's any public money going towards it at all,
People who call into the radio don't generally have fully informed opinions. I'm sorry, if you're spending your time doing that, you're probably spending your time in the wrong places. But
So it could be a thing. You Bradley, you believe CFL?
it will
Halifax
be.
would
Yeah,
a thing?
it's only a matter of time. I've been saying that for a while now, but
Yeah, but everyone's been saying it's
no.
gonna come here for a while.
Since this ownership group, like I know who they are. They're serious about this. This is not going away. It's not going away. It's happening. And
If you were to say how long it would take, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? What do you think? To be real.
That is going to rely solely on how long it takes to construct the stadium,
Okay.
And get the approval of the construction going. So, I'm not sure how long it takes to build a stadium. 2 years, a year.
Yeah, I'd say best case 3 to 5, right? And that's if everything is just bang, 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 and perfect from here on out. And you guys have lived here for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think the chance of that happening
Our
are?
buildings move a little slow. There's a lot of cranes up right now.
And that's why I asked the question. Like, we can talk about, CFL, but like, if in reality it is a 3 to 5 year thing.
we keep saying if done right. And the other thing about the actual construction of the stadium and the use of the stadium that people don't understand is that you can, if done right, like that whole area of Dartmouth can become something completely different from what it is now. Yeah. And if you look at, again, the Ottawa model, I think is one of the best ones that we should take a page from in the environment they've created. There's literally a condo that overlooks the field. You can watch all the games from the condo. Yeah. There's all these bars and restaurants, and they're local bars and restaurants. They're not like big chains and stuff like that. And so I think if we do it right and we brand it with our people and our restaurants that we have here, and, the donaire culture that we have here, that, everything like that, and we do it right, and it can, it can be successful for sure.
But even as you say that, and you're very right. Like I love the Lansdowne area of Ottawa. My sister lives just down the road, and spend a fair amount of time up there when I'm visiting. Just in the restaurants and little kind of public green spaces. Yeah. But even at that's an example of devil's in the details, because they develop that as mixed use. There's office buildings, there's condos, there's bars and restaurants, and there's also retail. So there's a big Winners, there's a big Sporting Life. A number of other nice, higher end retailers, right? And they're actually struggling because they've got huge leases. Yeah, and people don't go shopping and then go to the football game. People eat and drink and go to the football game and then eat and drink afterwards, or they're going out to this little bar district that's formed up there. Lansdowne's now a destination. Ottawa used to be, we're going to Elgin Street, or we're going to the Byward Market, or we're going to Little Italy, or we're going to Lansdowne is now kind of the fourth choice to spend an evening. Right. And it's revitalized that whole area. But
Dartmouth needs a new little hub.
But the retail in that case is struggling because it doesn't really suit it, and it's off the main drag because it's back in this thing. So just an example of maybe figuring out exactly what works. But on balance, it's got huge potential. Did anyone hear what Tony Mancini, the councillor from Dartmouth North, said on the radio? He spoke quite well. I think it was from a council meeting. He said, basically everything we're saying. Great idea. I love this idea. Really interesting. Dartmouth North is, an area, as you said, with some challenges, but one that's, seeing some resurgence and showing some energy. His take on it was, show me what benefit this is going to have for the people in my community, right? It's great if we build a stadium and, let's say they're expensive tickets and everyone can drive in from Bedford. That's great, but how's it actually going to benefit the people who live around the stadium? So I think that's another opportunity too. As you said, local businesses, local restaurants, how could you reimagine something if you're going to put public money into it? Obviously there's interest, and obviously the stadium doesn't happen without public money. If you're going to do that, how do you develop in a way that benefits as broad a swath of the public as possible? I think that's an interesting question.
And you don't
employment. It's gonna be a big employer for that area as well.
Well, you think about when LeBron left Cleveland, how many restaurants and bars and organizations didn't make as much money because the biggest show wasn't in town, and then he leaves and they suck. No one makes any money, and then he comes back, and now everyone's making money. But I think it's interesting. You said the retail space, like you think putting certain businesses in certain areas because of the high traffic would make sense, but not if they're not things that people are having any interest in purchasing to or from a football game.
Yeah, and I mean, in that case, it could just be the way it's laid out is you've got the main drag in Ottawa, and then kind of coming off it. I'm gesturing at you. They can't see me on the camera, and no one can see me listening on the podcast, so this is kind of pointless. But it's all kind of a development off the main road, right? Mm-hmm. So unless you're going down there for a reason, you're not seeing what's down there. Right. So, and it's
And with the reason usually being football, you don't want to hold a shopping bag the whole time you're cheering at a football game.
Yeah. But I mean, by the same token, Ottawa example again. What do they call it? Canadian Tire Center now. The arena where the Senators play is out on the west edge of town.
Okay.
And
I've been there before.
yeah, they built that 25, 30 years ago maybe. And that end of town, there's sort of two far-flung suburbs in Ottawa. Ottawa is kind of laid out east-west, and then there's one to the south. So east and west were sort of the two main bedroom communities.
Right.
Put the arena out west.
Yeah.
And now that area, Canada, is essentially its own city. Like, you could just drop Ottawa off the map and they'd be fine in terms of industry
Right.
they have, services available, housing, shopping, whatever else. And that's all because people were always driving out that way to see the stadium, to go to a game. So, there's ample examples of it working well, but like,
Can we do it here?
yeah. Do we have the imagination and the foresight to do it right?
That's when you take a step back and you're like, who's behind this? And I think this ownership group is going to get it right. And if you don't have faith in the ownership group, because that's, we're talking about how this is getting it right is the most important thing. So we're talking about now.
It's a solvable problem.
We know it's a great idea.
It's got to solve it.
We know it can be done. Are they going to do it right? And that's kind of the main thing that is being debated right now. And I think that comes down to the ownership group, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be doing it, right? So
one of the dudes wasn't he a part owner of the Coyotes?
yeah.
No, I mean, in terms of owning a
NHL?
hockey team, that's like an asterisk next to it. Like, I was part owner of an NHL team. It was Phoenix.
It was ownership. Jay-Z owned the Brooklyn Nets. Damn it, he owned an NBA team.
Didn't they try to sell
One of the guys is a local guy too, so he
Yeah,
understands.
it's the same guy. He's from
Right.
New Brunswick, I think.
Right.
Yeah, he went to SMU, I think.
Yeah, Anthony LeBlanc or Legier or something. But yeah, he's a local guy. He's been in sports management for most of his career. Like, all these guys seem to have good track records. Like, they're not a bunch of clowns. So hopefully they figure it out. In a way that'll make money, and hopefully the city and the province figure out a way to get the benefits without selling the entire farm out from everybody.
The city's looking at it like, at what cost? What are we not doing because we're doing this? And
Right.
that's a valid question. Obviously, you have concerns when anything like this comes up, and they're asking for money for it, right? So you have to say, does this mean we don't have? Does this mean we fix less hospitals? Because that's not, that's a big problem, right? So,
Yeah.
but as long as it's not coming at the expense of other things, then you can get people to rally behind it. And so, if the numbers make sense, and I think that this group is going to do it in a way that will benefit everybody.
Score it out of 10. Your belief in it being possible out of 10.
12.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Bradley Daye weighs in.
I'd say similar. If you want to talk about possible, it's absolutely possible. Does it get pulled off? I guess we'll see. It's still very, very. I think
Okay,
it's too early to say.
Let me rephrase my question then. What do you think the odds of it getting pulled off are out of 10? Just so we can get some context around this, right?
Right. I'm probably biased from a lot of different angles.
Okay.
Because I know some people that are working with this ownership group.
Right.
And they're good people.
Right.
And so that's why I have more confidence in this group, because there are people that work with this group that I'm very much confident in, that have been a part of CFL franchises that were very successful, and they know the model that works here.
Right.
So I'm up close to 10. I'm like in that 8, 9
In belief and possibility.
in belief in execution.
Execution.
I'll say.
Your belief in execution.
I'd say,
Mr. Crawford.
yeah, I'd say I'm 7 or 8 on it. Like, I don't know as many of them as you do, Bradley, but I know a few of the folks who've been involved, and I think also, this has been around long enough, and you even mentioned just the general malaise of, we're trying this again. We tried it before and it didn't work. But I mean, unfortunately, we're Maritimers. We love to say why things won't work. We're really good at that.
He said it,
We can be.
Well, we talk about jobs being one of the biggest issues here. How many jobs is this going to create?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
So
But who's going to pay for those jobs? That's kind of the question I've heard. Is like, well,
the 24,000 fans that come out to watch the games, you know? So
and that's what I mean. If you pull this off, it works.
on average,
which is a ridiculous thing to say. Well, if it works, it'll work.
right.
But
well, on
there-
average, the CFL team makes about $5 million net. You know,
Per year.
after people are paid. So, you know,
yeah, there's significant economic spin-off opportunities. It's the thing and I believe it will happen. At this point, you know, these guys wouldn't be getting behind this. It's not like there was appetite for it. People were interested, but it wasn't like people were clamoring for it.
You think they're clamoring now?
They're starting to get there, but it wasn't like everyone was so excited, and then because everyone was so excited this thing happened, these people, this crew deliberately decided this is the place we want to do it, and this is the way we think it can work, and they picked it up and made it happen. They're not just jumping on an opportunity, right? So, which leads me to believe they've done their homework and they've thought about it. I think the interesting question, I think it's very possible, and I hope it's pulled off, is getting that community benefit piece right, making sure that, you know, are they going to employ people from Dartmouth North? I hope so. You're going to drop that stadium right in their community in what is now a park and publicly available land.
Working less with the kind of companies that have monopolies on things and the big chains, and working more with local, I guess, is how you get it done.
If this is
right.
going to, this team's going to be for the community, let's make it for the community. And I think there's really a lot of interesting opportunities there. We're not going to go full Green Bay and sell shares, but did you know that, Terrence?
Green Bay Packers sell shares?
Yeah, they are community owned.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they don't have a rich old dude owning the thing. It's owned by people from Green Bay buy shares and buy season tickets.
In Saskatchewan's kind of like that too.
It is. Yeah, makes sense.
So we might get a CFL team, is what you're saying.
We will.
Yeah.
We will get a CFL team. That's what we're saying. We're calling it here on the Change the Narrative podcast. Kyler Crawford, Bradley Daye. Y'all said it. I don't know shit about football, so I'm just trusting y'all because y'all are the experts in this situation.
Yeah, everyone's got too much into it now. You know, Ambrosi traveling around getting people hyped. Like, too many people who have influence have put their stick in the ground as wanting this to happen, I think. So for them to back out right now, something would have to be very, very wrong.
You know what else is wrong?
What was that?
Moral culture.
Moral culture.
Yeah. Because you have a theory around the types of moral culture. Some fucking weird theory about how we're all kind of fucked up and we believe shit that we shouldn't believe anymore.
That sounds like something I would think. You're going to have to elaborate. That sounds like a lot of things I think.
I heard that you have this theory on the 3 types of culture.
Okay, yeah. I can't say that it's mine, but I did read something, and I'm not going to get the attribution right, and I apologize for that. I want to actually look this guy up, and maybe we'll put his name in the details or something. But
do it.
It was something I read talking about this fellow was positing, the idea there are 3 kinds of cultures.
Talk about, so 1, 2, and 3 are what?
1, 2, and 3 are what? So traditionally, and I'd heard this before, it was the idea there are 2 kinds of cultures. It's not like these are the only 2 kinds, but there's a way to look at it through which you can classify cultures as mainly in one camp or mainly in the other. So there's the dignity culture and the honor culture. So basically, I look at those 2 as, if someone calls your mother a whore, what do you do? Right? If you're in an honor culture, that's somewhere where you don't have a lot of central authority. Like maybe the cops aren't there, maybe the teacher's not there. You're in a situation where the only thing you have to enforce your point of view is you. So your reputation for honesty, your reputation for toughness, whatever it is. So think of say a hunter-gatherer culture, or, if we're out in the woods, we didn't have any government, right? That's an honor culture, and you got to be ready to fight to protect your honor and protect your reputation. The culture we live in right now is more of a dignity culture, where we've got strong central institutions, right? We've got the police, we've got the government, and there's a social order, and you're better off keeping that social order, right? So you're rewarded for not punching the guy who calls your mother a whore. You're rewarded for just walking away, swallowing your pride, and saying, screw it.
The system will take care of it.
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, if it's really that bad, the system will take care of it. But if all he's doing is throwing words at me, I got my job, I've got my security, I've got my house,
I don't need to protect my honor and dignity at this point because the system's doing it for me.
Yeah, that's pretty well it. Yeah. So those are sort of the two big ones. And you think of the more structured a society gets, the more you tend toward a dignity culture, because you got all these pieces and we're all living together, and I don't need you punching somebody else just because they said something you didn't like.
Now, what's number 3?
So number 3 is one I hadn't heard of until this fella brought it up. Called it the victim culture. So talking about this is what we're starting to see in North America right now. I mean, in a lot of places, but last couple years, and I'll kind of explain to it, and you guys think about whether you see this. So his example was, and this is not the only place, but his example was university campuses. So university campus is the culture there is one where you've got very egalitarian setup. So students are students, and students are all the same, or theoretically, and you really push that, right? That we're all kind of level, we're all equal. So at the same time, universities are also more diverse than your average cultural institution. I think it's fair to say, right? Compare it to government, compare it to a corporation. You're going to get more people from more backgrounds with more different points of view.
Okay.
Be they cultural, socioeconomic, whatever.
Depends what university, but yeah.
Yeah. On balance, your average university compared to your average collection of 5,000 other people somewhere. So you've got all that, and people are very attuned to the idea that we're meant to be equal, but you come from different backgrounds, so everyone's very sensitive. And I say university, but this is also where we're at, just in the general discourse right now. There are more voices from more backgrounds.
For sure.
Right, and we're all kind of on the
You're just using the microcosm and the subculture of the university to explain the point.
Yeah, absolutely. So like to think of it, we're all on the same level. So at a university, in this, think of it, what's a pretty bad thing you can do? People don't like offensive speech, and that's not getting into the idea of free speech on campus. That's another discussion. But anything that is perceived as offensive and perceived as increasing these differences, these social differences, is pretty bad, right? So if someone's talking bad about you, Terrence, on a university campus, what are you going to do? You're not going to go knock the guy out.
It depends on who said what.
Yeah, that's true. But then you're going to get thrown out of school, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That almost happened. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
Study for your financial accounting exam, kids. It's not worth getting kicked out of school. Keep going.
Yeah. So.
Stay in school,
kids.
kids.
Don't be like Terrence. Study. But what you end up with is you've also got this real strong central authority. And I've been talking for a while. Is anybody still listening?
Yes.
Awesome.
Go. Get your point.
Yeah. So you got a strong central authority. So what's the first thing you do if someone says something that hurts you with words, right? Increases this difference. You go complain. You complain to the school. You raise your flag and you say, "I'm a victim. This person's saying bad things about me. Someone's come to campus. They're saying something I don't like, or someone's putting up a poster that I don't like that hurts my feelings. It's a microaggression."
Yeah.
So you do that. Now the other guy on the other side, who's not a part of your group
Or girl.
or girl, whoever it might be, small G guy.
Yeah.
I get in trouble for that one. Now they feel like a victim too, because now you got some status by saying, "I've been victimized by this person who's oppressing me." So they're going to turn around and say, "No, I'm not oppressing you. You're oppressing me." And that's how we get people running around the city putting up "It's okay to be white" signs, right? Now they're victims too, right? I'd argue they are some other things, but they see themselves as victims.
What are those other things?
Yeah, let's get the deep dive.
No.
Yeah. So that's kind of a long-winded way of getting around to the point of we've kind of got this construct where whoever's more of a victim and more wounded, they've got status and they're winning, right? And the more aggrieved that you can be, the more you're winning the debate. And I think we've probably got some examples of what's been going on here, but south of the border to kind of illustrate that. All anyone
What you
wants.
talking about? Me too?
What's that? Me too. Me too. And then the other side of Me Too, where you've got Trump and that side of the fence saying, "Oh, it's a terrible time to be a young man," because they're being victimized by these accusations, right? And it's got nothing to do with where you actually land on it. It's the funny thing, in terms of your opinion on any of these things.
And it just puts people farther and farther and farther apart. And now you have to be on one side or the other. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot
Yeah,
of
you
it
can't be in the middle on anything. You have to pick a side.
No. And a lot of it, I think, is stemming from, so politics used to be politics. You used to be able to debate about a certain, you might not agree on it, but you could debate about it without being hard on one side or the other. Whereas now every part of politics is becoming a moral question. Instead of being just a political debate and a stance on something, it's now a moral, well, that is wrong. And then you're morally on that side of things.
Right.
And so now, no, I'm on this side and you're on that side. And it's no longer a debate, it's a moral question. So they brought kind of morals into politics. And year after year, it kept becoming more about, what's right and what's wrong instead of what's, the best system to operate. And
it's also quite a question of identity as well.
Ooh, go.
I mean, I try not to do this, but every now and then,
He's doing it.
I'll find my way on social media onto some random guy's Instagram profile who commented on some football related account I follow, and you start seeing these guys down there. It's like U.S. military vet, Christian, Second Amendment defender, MAGA, whatever. It's like this is your profile. This is you got like 3 lines on Instagram to tell the world what you're about, and you're calling yourself a Second Amendment defender. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean like
I like guns?
But like a defender, does that mean like you getting a lot of arguments about it, or you're waiting for them to come try to fry the guns?
I'm defending my right to have guns. What the fuck does everyone need guns for? Sorry, don't take me on that tangent.
No, man, I can't get my head around it. Like even here in Canada, we just don't have that much of a debate. It seems.
Yeah.
I feel like there's an interesting rural-urban divide in Canada, and I kind of come down maybe more on the side of a gun's a tool. You can use it for things.
Yeah, I was listening to CBC Radio again, and they had the guy on there that was this was today actually. He was one of the guys that was kind of actually famous for standing up during a debate or during a political sort of address and calling out. I think it was Rubio at the time, and he became the prominent figure in the anti-gun sort of movement, and he recently stepped down actually, and I think it ties into this moral question in that you're either on the gun side for guns or against guns, and it's this moral question now. It's now this: if you like guns, you like mass shootings.
Yeah.
That's become, and he was like, I can't stand behind this anymore. And because what happened was he started going out and speaking to gun owners. And he was like, these actually are a good person that likes the same things that I do. And I'm here calling them like somebody who likes mass shootings. And he was like having this real kind of internal moral debate within him. And so because things have, politics have taken things as so like one or the other, and it's this big moral divide, and that you can't just kind of, you like your guns to go hunting. But he also made a good point in that they made more strides in the last 8 months with gun policy than they have in the last 8 years, and that, there are still a lot of very big hurdles in that area to reduce the access to guns. And obviously more guns is not the answer. I'm not saying that, but also just generalizing a whole group of people as one thing is very detrimental as well, right? And so that's what's happening, not just in guns, but in so many levels of politics and moral questions. Is just like, you're either this or that. And then you have people lighting the match and lighting the fire and pouring gasoline on the fire like Trump, and just creating even more and more and more of a divide. And it's a really kind of scary time that we live in if you think about it. You have militia groups in Nigeria that are killing protesters and saying it's because Trump said it's okay to, So it's like, if you look at the history, look at history and when we've had dictatorships and when there's been these sort of, this is the climate that we're in. And if you think about it, it's really kind of scary. And so,
yeah, I read an article in the Walrus today, guy talking about what the American Civil War will look like when it happens. He's basically saying no.
Like if it happened in 2000 now.
Yeah, 2000, not too far from now. He's basically saying, and I'm sure he's being a little hyperbolic, but saying, no, it's not a question of will this happen. This will happen, right? There's no way to reverse the course that they're on right now, but, how is Canada going to react? Like, how are we going to deal with it?
That's a great question.
And it was
We
interesting.
like to sit on the fence and.
Yeah, it's a dicey one. We as a country are very, very tied to what goes on in the States. And,
And if the States goes left and right, what side is Canada going to?
Yeah,
be
it's
on?
it's crazy.
That's a really good question.
You didn't have this experience, I'm sure, growing up in the States because you were just down there. But I remember, and Bradley, you might remember, when you're young, you watch so much American TV. You consume so much American content. And the States and Canada look basically the same to you when you're a kid, right? You just see what's on TV and, their TV shows have slightly better production values, whatever it may be. But, as I get older and I spend more time in the States, and I'm starting to see like, wow, there's two very, very different cultures.
For sure.
I felt much more of an affinity toward, Scottish and UK culture when we were over there earlier this fall.
100%.
Or more familiar, like this is familiar to me. This is, we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Whereas, when I used to go to Maryland for work, it was funny because at the beginning of this time, it was probably about 10 years ago I started, and 5 years ago I would have wrapped up with that company. And over that 5 years, it went from, yeah, cool, different. You guys talk funny and you eat more fried food. All the way up to like, wow, I don't like going down here. I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wilder.
I can imagine
and
what it
wilder.
would be like being a white guy, being uncomfortable in America.
You know what it is? And I mean, uncomfortable's relative.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you exactly what it, an instance that kind of illustrated it for me. So we were kind of in the suburbs of Baltimore.
Okay.
And sitting at a TGI Fridays, myself and a couple coworkers, all of us white.
Of course.
Of course. That company hadn't started their diversity campaign yet. That was later. So we're sitting there, and
It still hasn't.
chatting with the server, eating our pot stickers or whatever they serve at Applebee's
Pot
or TGI
stickers.
Fridays or wherever it was. I'm chatting with her about, okay, so what's it like in this town? What's it like to work here?
Yeah.
Just, tell me your story. And she says, no, it's cool. It's good. These neighborhoods are all right. They didn't really like the mall opening up, though. We didn't really like that out here. It's great for shopping, but now they run this bus down to the hood to bring everybody who works out here, and now we got to lock our cars all the time, and and the way she said it, so
you shouldn't be locking your cars just because there's just people outside.
So
the way she said, but it wasn't so much. It was basically, all right, now we got to bring the blacks out here to work at the mall, and
it's almost that nudge, like, you know what I mean, fellow white guy?
That was exactly it. It was
That's
like
what
she
it
was
was
so comfortable talking to me about it and just assuming that I felt the same way. And I'm just like, yeah.
I'm embarrassed
Anyway,
for you.
I'm out of here. Like, and in that situation, what do you do as a white dude? Like, it wouldn't have done any good.
What did you do?
I just kind of terminated that conversation and moved on to something else. I don't know if that was the right thing, but on one hand, it's like, am I going to get in a debate about race relations with this waitress at TGI Fridays? Is that going to get me anywhere? Or am I just going to kind of finish my beer and go, oh, that's creepy, and then go somewhere else? I don't know what the right answer is in that scenario, but
That's
I
a
chose to
great
just kind of
question.
avoid and not think about it.
Yeah, and then you're down in a culture and in an environment that you don't know how somebody's going to react if you start bringing
They
that
do
up
carry
either.
around guns and shit.
That is true. That's
So-
the thing you forget down there. Is like, there's
You disagree with the wrong person.
I do think there's a bit of a responsibility to educate people. I mean, we can always, I don't know, even if it's just, I disagree, or even if it's just a small thing, I do think that holds weight, and that it goes a long way in changing their perception and their opinion.
Changing their narrative.
I was going to say it, and I was
I
like,
know you were. You said it. I feel it coming from you, Bradley.
So yeah, it's even if it's just a slight nudge, and you're like, I don't agree, and I don't accept that opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are difficult things to do. Those are difficult things to talk about, especially in an unfamiliar environment where you don't know how somebody's going to react.
Yeah, it's weak excuse, but it's like that takes energy from you too. Are you prepared to deal with that negative energy? Are you prepared for this argument?
This comes down to like Duane's conversation with what's his face, the politician dude.
Yeah, the counselor. from
Matt
the
Whitman in the mall. Is Duane expected to now explain blackness to the random white dude in the middle of the mall and I love playing those.
I'm not going to say
here we
where this took place, but this was recently, because I don't want to bring any negative attention to anything. But recently, I was in a situation where I had somebody come to me, and I'm at an event where it's all love.
Yeah,
it's all love.
Yeah,
and I had somebody come to me and say, you're the whitest black guy I've ever met. And I don't think they meant it it was a question, actually. They phrased it as a question in that, would you be offended if, like I said, you were the whitest black guy I've ever met?
Yes.
And
I would be offended.
And this is not my event. This is not somebody. So this is like somebody I love's event. And it was, and I know it wasn't from like, oh, your skin tone is lighter than other black people I met. Because that's a very surface thing to say, but it was definitely like, what does that mean? What is your conception of blackness that as I'm well spoken and I appreciate certain things more than other people, that you've built this perception of what blackness is as a white person, and because I act a certain way, I'm less black than those white, and you feel the need to tell me that.
Yeah. A stranger you've never met before, never spoke to.
And looking back, I could have went down that road, but I knew the conversation would have stayed on that topic for a long time.
Right.
And I knew it would have maybe even got a little bit more...
than it should have.
Less civil.
Yeah.
At an event where, I didn't want it to go that direction. So I honestly... I did not look that person. I pretended like you and I are in this conversation right now, and Kyler was not even here.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't look at him. I wouldn't acknowledge his presence in that space.
Yeah.
And that's just how I dealt with it at that time. And was that the right thing to do by not bringing it up and, addressing it then? And, I told him it's one of the most offensive things I've ever heard said to my face. I can't believe you said that. And I just left it at that.
Yeah.
Well, why? They're trying to dig deeper. No, I'm not going down the road with you. But
let me let you know.
Incredibly
don't
offensive.
Never say this to other
Never
people.
say that to anybody again.
Yeah.
And, left it at that. But I guess I could have gone further down that road. Should I have taken the time to educate him? Does it matter that I was at an event that... Is it my responsibility to
go down that road,
further down that road, even at an event where you're gonna make things awkward for a lot of people?
Don't be the black guy who makes things uncomfortable for all the white people in the room,
right?
Because then you're that guy.
Yeah.
No black guy wants to be that guy,
right? So, yeah, it's tough, right?
All this around the three types of moral cultures.
Yeah, and I mean,
I love our rabbit holes.
but I mean, that actually, I think we brought it back semi well there, right? Because what would the reaction be had you pursued that, or as you said, don't be the black guy who does
and
that.
Maybe
Maybe
it was a selfish thing, like you said. It takes effort, right? Maybe it was a selfish thing, and I just want to enjoy the rest of my night,
right?
And not ruin it by arguing with this asshole about some dumbass shit that he said. He's going to continue being his dumbass self,
right? Regardless.
So if you had chosen to go off and educate him a little bit there, how would that be remembered from everyone there? Now who's the victim?
And those
this
and
jerk
those are
show-
the things that I have to carry with me.
Right.
So those are the things
Right.
that I have as
Yeah.
a burden.
But bring it-
and those are the things that I have to think about that, people that aren't in my situation don't have to think about. They can just go through life not having to debate those things internally and look back in those scenarios and say, what did I do? Should I have done it differently? How are people are going to perceive this? Because I'm in an environment at that time that's predominantly white.
Right.
And so it's like, I have to think about those things. And right. So
had you said something, what's it going to look like in his head? What's his narrative going to be when he tells people? Is now he's a victim? Some dude went off. Some dude went off on me.
And I made to this black guy. I was just kidding, and this black dude got all angry. The angry black man.
That's just it.
You're fucked, buddy.
It's like you can't even make a joke with people anymore. Like, what is that? I can't even make a joke with people, and they get
Not when
all
your joke's
angry
not
now. Now,
funny.
like you said, now I'm the victim, kind of thing. Like,
That's how we respond. Whenever we're telling a story, we want to. I shouldn't say we, but one wants to come off like I'm in the right, and if someone's coming at me, it's unjustified. So anyone who's aggressive to you, the guy who tells me off and corrects me, well, they're shitting all over me, and it's completely unjustified, and they're taking things way too serious. Right?
should have just quoted Chance the Rapper and just, "Fuck you, fuck you."
You got them vocal
Everybody's still
cords.
happy. It's like the nicest way to say "fuck you" to somebody.
Yeah. You warmed your vocal cords up. Nice say, Papa. He was ready. He was ready. Oh shit. Okay, do you have anything else on our 3 types of moral? Fuck, bro. We went all the way there, didn't we? How do you feel as a white guy having these conversations with black men about whiteness and you kind of being awkwardly in the middle?
I'm kind of awkwardly off to the side. But no, I find it interesting.
The white guy answer, kind of awkwardly off to the side.
I find it interesting. Like I said, it's something that wasn't even a factor for me growing up. It wasn't race
Growing
wasn't
up
a
in Moncton.
In Moncton, race wasn't a positive or a negative. It just wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Right? And as I've got older, I've spent time playing football, around a lot of black dudes, and learned a lot. I think about certain elements of call it black culture, although that encompasses a lot of things.
Yeah.
But as I've got older, and had more experience, I'm sort of learning that the guy is like, you say you hang out with black dudes playing football, you say y'all, and you listen to rap music. Like that doesn't mean you understand anything, right? So I'm just kind of sitting here when this goes on. I'm like, this is my chance to learn. This is my chance to understand something that's important, and we're all here together, so we're all linked to a degree. So this relates to me because everything relates to me because I know you guys, and I care about you guys,
Right.
But I don't really get what goes on. So for me, it's an opportunity.
This is
And that's exactly what it should be. You don't have to form an opinion on it because it's not your place, and you shouldn't, right? So if it's not your culture and you're not fully able to understand it, why form an opinion on it, right? And so it's something where you I think you hit the nail on the head when you said kind of it's an opportunity to learn and to just kind of take a step back and appreciate it. And
I think what you said there, not form an opinion on it, is something that, like we talked about, it's hard to do, right? To not form an opinion on things. As a white dude, you hear a lot like, oh, so and so saying this is racist or is blackface racist. Like, well, I'm going to say yes based on the number of black people I know whom it offends. I don't mind it. Like me. Wow. Okay, get that clip. Yeah, Kyler doesn't mind
there it
blackface.
is. I don't mind blackface.
It's like, I don't find it personally offensive, but seeing how other people react to it, I understand that it is. Right?
That's interesting.
So I kind of defer, right? Like, do you think it's racist? It's got to do with you. It's not got to do with me. So
and then there's
you tell
like
me.
there's the whole the point that white people invented the N-word, and now that this is a word that they can't use, and they feel like, well, why can't I? And so one of the best opinions that I've heard on kind of why why white people can't use it, and not just why, but like the powerful message that it sends is that, there's often situations where we go through life and there's things that we're not allowed to do or say, and we feel that other people are allowed to do and say and get away with it. But if
When
we
you say we,
I mean like blacks.
okay.
And so I think there's something to be learned from refraining. Often there's not a lot of times in society where white men in particular have to refrain from doing something.
Anything.
And so this is an opportunity to learn, again, as by refraining to do something. Just because of the color of your skin, you're not allowed to do it. Think about that lesson, that message that sends, and that how often that happens in the black community and how infrequently that happens in the white community. So there's an opportunity for you to feel actually a bit in our shoes, in a way, from refraining from saying the N-word. Think
One
about
word.
that.
One word.
Yeah, in that you can't do something because of the color of your skin, and the lesson that teaches. And so if you want to put yourself in our shoes, don't say the N-word, and learn the lesson of refraining from doing something just because of the color of your skin.
That's very well put. It's very insightful.
It's a great way to end the show. With Bradley's message about blackness to white people. I'm glad you guys are here.
Thank you for having us. It was a lot of fun.
Kiss and hug Lauren and don't spread the germs.
I can't do that. That's why she's not here.
Don't bring them germs back to work
I
tomorrow.
need to go get a flu shot
Yeah, yo.
ASAP.
Co-founder of Placemaking 4G,
What up?
Bradley Daye.
In the house.
I feel like people
Sounding
know.
like Dad there.
I feel like
In the
people know-
house.
In the house, yeah. I feel like people know what Placemaking 4G is. Give them a quick elevator pitch, and then tell them where they can find you on the social medias if people do want to access what it is that the Placemaking for Good does.
Placemaking 4G. So we have kind of very neatly been put into the recruiting box, but we do a lot more than that. We are the new generation of recruiting, in that we specialize in the next generation of the workforce. So really we started this company because we have an issue here in Nova Scotia, and that issue is the outmigration of youth, and our biggest export is talent. So how do we address that? Recruiting, finding people of values alignment between the work that they do and the place that they work. So the things that are important to you personally, what are your values? If you can apply those in what you do, you're more likely to stay in your job for a longer period of time.
Right.
You're more likely, and so this is reducing turnover for companies. This is keeping people in Nova Scotia, finding meaningful work. Millennials have been given a pretty negative stereotype, just in that, they're only staying in jobs for 1.5 to 2 years, while they're graduating with record levels of debt, taking the first job that they can get, just because they need to start paying their bills, right? It's not something that they can align their values with. It's just work. And so I think that's where we come in to kind of bridge that gap and knock down those silos between companies and millennials. And there's a bit of learning on either end. We do a bit of a cultural audit for the company to figure out what kind of culture they're trying to build, and then bring in somebody who's going to contribute to that culture, a cultural contributor, not just to your culture, but to your bottom line in creating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment. So that's what we're kind of all about.
You're well-spoken.
Am I the whitest black guy you've ever met?
That was well said there, sir.
Which would not be creating an inclusive
at all.
environment in your workforce, right?
Not at
So
all.
those are the types of lessons that need to be learned.
P4G, where can you find y'all at?
P4G.ca is our website if you want more information about what we do, how to get a hold of us. Emails on there. Reach out to us if you're looking for top talent, because we know how to find it. We've got the secret potion.
This sauce.
And we're on Instagram and Facebook and
Twitter.
Not Twitter.
No Twitter?
No tweeting.
What's up with the Why Here campaign? That's still going on?
Why Here campaign is still going on.
Tell me a little bit about Why Here before we get out of here.
It is a 1-minute video of why you are here in Atlantic, Canada. You can film it just on your phone by yourself, send it to our email, even just use the hashtag Why Here. We need to change the narrative about the have-not provinces. There is so much going on in Atlantic, Canada. Just share your story. Share why you're here. And not the so why here? Yeah, too many people come here and we ask them why they're here because they're from maybe a beautiful place, and people don't understand the value of Atlantic Canada. And so it's about shaping that and shifting that narrative.
P4G.ca, baby. Mr. Crawford, where would you tell people to pay attention to you at?
Well, I don't have my own side hustle yet to plug, but talk a bit about what we're doing here at CGS.
Yeah.
This lovely space.
Come on, good solution.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. A couple really interesting things in the hopper, none of which I can really talk about yet.
Ooh, confidentiality.
It'll be coming, but we're doing some interesting projects. Really more in the public sector most recently. So, stay tuned. We'll tell you a little bit more about those once we get them dusted, but trying to, as we do here, change the narrative around a few different things, bring some different perspectives. Basically, we kind of look at it, we do a few different things, most of which around social entrepreneurship, but, some kind of more on the policy side, I guess you could say as well, working with different levels of government. But I kind of look at it as we're trying to make the world a better place by helping people who are trying to make the world a better place, and by helping people who might not be overtly trying to do that, but through the way in which we help them and the guidance we give them, trying to move them in a more positive direction.
Making systemic change.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's just it, right? We can help individual people, but at a certain point, you can shake your fist and throw rocks at the walls, but eventually you got to find a way to get your way inside and actually start making some of the changes that you wanted to see when you're on the other side of the fence. So that's what takes up the day job. On social, on Twitter at Kyler Crawford 58, on Instagram at Crawford 58. I haven't done anything with either of those accounts for over a year, but get on there, follow me, and I'll start doing some shit for you. It'll be good.
There you go. If you follow the man, he'll put the work in for you. Much love. Big dog. Terrence J. Taylor on Instagram.
Isn't that like chicken before the egg kind of thing?
What?
You have to have the content before the people come follow, or do people
Depends.
come follow and then the content comes?
Depends. If you can
Ruining
tell
it,
people to
man.
follow,
Ruining
there's
it.
mad people with no posts and they don't follow nobody, and they got mad followers, and people are just waiting for them to just engage. So I mean, if you start dropping facts and knowledge like you've been dropping on this show, I think you get people to engage.
If
with
you build
sir.
it, they will come.
They will come. No, absolutely, they will come. Terrence J. Taylor on Instagram. Watch TTM, Facebook, Instagram. That's Terrence Taylor Media. TerrenceTaylorMedia.com. Make sure that you are following along CTN Podcast on Instagram. I don't really care a whole lot about me. I just care about the growth of this show.
I do.
Well, I appreciate that you care.
I care a lot
about
about
me a
you.
little bit.
You should care about you.
I should. I do. But I put most of my efforts towards the support of the people that I actually fuck with, because I only need so much love
You
from
can humble
me.
brag.
Well-
Give a little humble brag. Come on.
Man,
you just
like-
talked about how the progress. You're so proud of all the progress here.
I am proud of it.
Don't downplay that.
I am proud of it. Nah, I am proud of it. But honestly, it's, like we couldn't do this
I
shit.
get what you're saying, though.
I couldn't do, I don't do this shit on my own, man. Like, I pulled the Eazy-E out of NWA, and I just got all the money to buy all the equipment. Like, now we need Dr. Dre to come in and make the beats, and Ice Cube to write the raps, and everybody to play their part. So for me, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy we got badass microphones that got bass in them. We still gonna keep working on the audio. We need to come up with what's the word? Audio phonics, audio abilities to create
phonics? What?
high quality audio. We're just trying to figure shit out, okay? Like, I don't know the words, I don't know what we're doing, but we're working towards becoming better every day. I don't really give a shit about anything else.
Kyler
man.
knows the words.
Kyler knows every fucking
I
word.
got no sweet clue.
He's got
Audio
like-
goodness.
It's got an encyclopedia in his
Soundicity.
brain. So, yo, I'm just with the growth, man. I'm happy. CTN podcast, we grow on Stitcher, which I don't even feel like anybody really uses. But if you got Apple Podcasts, we had our highest day of downloads ever last week.
Yo.
On our
Okay.
on the last week's episode we did so much. People keep listening, yo.
That was your first episode, hey, Kyler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying.
Sweaty in the
I don't know.
building.
Maybe I'm
Sweaty
seeing
in
a
the
trend
building.
there. I don't know.
Sweaty in the building. So let's see if they love your voice more than they love your lady's voice. Good luck.
Okay, give it a go.
Good luck. He said, give it a go.
We got any American listeners on here?
Yeah, we got some
Gonna-
people from the States.
All
A
right,
lot of
get-
Californians.
Get your asses out and vote. Like, it's a big deal. We're worried about you guys up here.
Yes.
Fix this shit. Do it tomorrow.
Get out and vote.
Yes.
Get out and vote, people. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, where you can watch us. We're trying some things with the video. We don't know what day the video's going to come out. We're testing some things to see what day has the most engagement, so bear with us. Those of you who are following along on the video format, just make sure you download it on the audio format so you can get us on every Tuesday morning. Keep an eye out because we got a CTN anniversary coming up soon, December 4th. That's our 1 year anniversary, our 1 year birthday, so we almost there. And for anybody who has any interest in collaborating artistically and creatively, you seen Sean McMullen came through. We're gonna post the promo video that he made. Actually, it'll be up this morning as you guys are listening to this episode. So I hope you saw the promo video. Much love to Sean. And we're just gonna try to keep collaborating and working with as many artistic people who really want to work, people who just fuck with us, yo. Just want to come through and show some love and sit on the mic. I'm really trying to turn this into like a little radio station, man. I wish we could record more than once a week because I would stay on this shit and just keep talking to people. But as long as people are willing to be here, we willing to keep talking. So Bradley just took a phone call. Much love to Bradley. Thank you for coming, even though Bradley can't see me. Thank you, Bradley, for coming. Much love to Mr. Kyler Crawford. He came through. Much love to Parvati. And that man in the back there. Hey, you man, Mr. Fraser. Mr. Fraser in the back there, you man. That one I'm saying, you man. So Brielle gonna have some photos. Pyre's back there monitoring the screens. We'll have a dope ass video coming out. Full episode. Snippets, promo, all that shit. Until next week, motherfuckers. Good night.